Greetings. He's some early, I know. Nice knowing when something's going to happen. Nice knowing anything. Right, so back to the gibbet crossing. Right, we're gonna do some water first, I think. We've got some waters to deal with. I'm gonna use a terrain brush again. So we've got lava, we've got black. Use the snow. We're gonna add more four more slots just in case. Oh. I'm not going to use terrain. I'm going to use pattern shape tool. Leave it on layer 1. Does it say in the description what type of water it is? So we'll go to G16. The room is flooded with 2 feet of dark water. That's all I need to know. Dark water. Blood and water. Water. Probably past it because I'm a douche. Oh, here we go. That's water still. It says dark water, so it could be that one, and we could go like a brackish brown. Doesn't actually say. It says dark water. So this room is filled with 2 feet of dark water. The crumbled remains of an old stone table emerge. The water makes this room difficult terrain for creatures without swimming speed. Okay, so I think we might make it. This is dark water, so we might go a browny green color, I think. Turn snapping off. Do this one, so we're gonna, because it comes all the way up here from this chamber. I probably actually, before I do any of this, I probably should add shadow here too, I guess. Because there is a staircase here as well. The water sort of comes there, floods this whole room. This is going to be a test because I might need to up the layer on this because this is all layer 1 over here as well. I might need to bring the opacity up, down on this and add a layer. Yes, I'm going to have to do that. The water is kind of the right color, I think. So let's take the alpha out of it. Move that. Let's do a test piece here. Probably needs to be a little darker than that. It's a little darker. It's only 2 feet deep, so I want to be able to see the bottom. But it also, I'm assuming it would be deeper. This would be deeper out here. You never know, right? So we'll start that again. Layer 1 seems fine as long as, I almost want to use layer 2. Repair. Let's go layer 2 because then it's definitely above everything. Take it down to about 140 alpha. Don't want an outline. Want to be able to blend this with some water textures. Now we've got this on the right layer. This floods almost this whole area here. Floods it out to here. Again, there's a stairwell up here, which, so it kind of floods the lower areas here. The lower area here as well. It's just past this doorway. So we'll do this area here because there's another couple of rooms that are also flooded. Now, depending on how deep the water is, it can be treated as difficult terrain in 5e. It really just, it comes down to personal preference from the DM, really, if you want to. So you can still see the floor. So obviously it says it's not that deep. This here is also flooded. There is a stairwell here too, so we're going to give that a little bit of a wiggly line. But all of these rooms are also flooded with the same brackish water. Save that. So it's on layer 2, which means we can put things under the water on layer 1 if we need to. I think most things are sort of, because it's only like 2 feet deep, so it's kind of poking out. So I think we should be okay as far as that's concerned. That gives us those areas. We could put our stairwells in, our natural stairwells. Go path tool. Shadow. Actually, no, go wibbly. We're going to go wibbly line. Wibbly, wibbly wobbly line. The cool thing about the wibbly line is the stairwell sort of starts here. We're going to make it a lot wider. So it gives us our step, our base step. A little too wide, and then we can shadow after that. So we've got kind of a naturally carved steps into this, and the way that they've depicted in their map, like they do this kind of thing to show that it's going down. I don't do that. I'm going to do it with shadow. So I'm going to have these steps sort of naturally. So they're not going to be perfectly carved steps. Some are going to be wider than others. But when it comes time to add shadow to this, I mean, we can edit this. What we can do here now with this pattern brush here is we go to edit points. We can zoom in here and grab these points and bring this water right up to this bottom step. Because that's obviously where the water's going to come to anyway. And then when it comes to shadow this, we can actually shadow it down under the water as well if we need to on that that first layer. That looks like we've obviously got water coming up to that set. Once we add a bit more shadow into this, this will obviously look a little bit more natural. And we're probably going to do the same here. However, what I might do with this is just obviously draw our bottom wibbly line. If I get this right, pretty much on the edge of the water anyway. And the same here, because these are both steps. Excuse me. Now these stairs, because it's such a wide cavern, I might actually do what they've done here and actually give these steps a bit more of a instep down, so that, and we'll leave this will be darkened area here with stones and stuff in them. So it'll be pretty much exactly like it's been carved out of stone. We could make them a little wider, I guess, because they're kind of not they're being tooled out of stone, so they're not exactly perfect. That's going to look a bit weird, isn't it? Might stick with my natural, with the full length steps. This, it's just like a natural step coming down. Again, and we'll shadow it to fit. Once the shadows go in, it'll be a little bit easier to do. This one here, we're going to do a little different, I think. This one's going to have... You know, I might actually end up doing it the same. So I'm going to try something here. Again, when we shadow, this looks pretty weird at the moment, but we've got to add layers of shadow into this to make this look more the part. If I don't like it, I'll delete it and go back to how I did it before. Make this kind of a broken step. Right. Let's now grab some shadow. This is one I usually use. Go this way. We're going to bring it down in size. Post it up. This one's going to be a little different. Gives us our depths into there. Now if we bring this back up to 1.4-ish. Down to there at the moment. It doesn't look too bad so far. We're sort of getting what I want here. Now, this is where we get a little bit more shadowy on our steps. Is that going to be wide enough is the question. I need to fade both of these. Need to make it wider, I think. Watch people come in and not think and just disturb me while I'm doing this. Not that anyone's here to care. That works. Do, do, do. Told you. No thanks. I told them that someone would just wander in without thinking while I'm streaming. Is that going to be enough? Don't know if it will be. I'd have to add some more. I mean, you can see that obviously it's there, but I don't know. I don't know if I like it. Don't know if I like it. I mean, in principle, it works. Might have to add more solid shadow just to make it better. I might have to add another layer. I'll have to adjust those lines anyway. This one here doesn't work. But what I can do is path tool. Right. Is here following the line of this. So I can make this almost like a broken step. The waters come right up to. That kind of looks better. Shadow there. Once you put the water line, it'll make more sense. I think I need to put a harder shadow line in here too. What do you reckon, chat? I don't know if that looks any good or looks weird and unnatural. I mean, it's obviously going down. You can see that. I'm gonna add some rocks and things that might look better. It just looks kind of weird. I'm not happy with it. I think we will remove it. I'm not happy with it. I mean, that one can stay. That one can stay. I think I might run the whole thing. But even then, I think it just looks a bit weird. So I do it with just shadow and not the wibbly line. I've done it that way in the past and it looks fine. I'm not sure why this one kind of looks so odd. And that doesn't look terrible. By the time I shadow that, it'll look alright. Maybe it's just the fact that I'm trying to make a thinner version of this natural fucking stair. Again, looking at theirs, I mean, most maps will have stairs that look like they're going down, and they'll start them large and work them down in a V shape to say that they're going down, and obviously the opposite way when they're going up. But I've always done it with shadow. But in saying that, this cabin is super wide. I mean, it's what, 5, 10, 15, it's like 20, 25 feet wide. Not going to build a stair 25 feet wide, are they? So I might have to rethink this whole situation actually and do it that way and just be hello Nutty. That's the top. We have to do the same with this one, I think. Oh look, it's a dancing bender. I'm pretty sure you're the only one here, Nutty. Again.
That's it, man. Game over,
We all.
man. It's game over.
We all is like one or two people. That's not we all. Do I try it with just shadow maybe? Or without the wibbly line? Make the wibbly line smaller. And I'm going to have to make it more uniform. Hello, Mr. Steb. Right on this one first. So we definitely need to have the top one at the top one. Definitely have to be wider than that. 1.5. That'll work. Which way are we going to go? That way. Has to go that way. Shall we start it here? And we'll make a little bit of a... I won't exaggerate the curves too much. Just I think that may be the issue. And I need to turn off this fade bullshit. No fading. That seems to be a little bit better. A little bit better. And then I think we're gonna do. Needs to be wider than that though. Need to make this. Kinda uniformy, but not uniformy. It's going to kind of spiral. It's not really going to spiral. It's going to kind of curve a little bit. Not really, but we'll give it a go. How you doing, Steb? So I can adjust the water if it looks like I've got too many stairs or not enough or whatever. So back to work tomorrow. Only 48 hours this week. Only 48 hours. It's not big enough. I just found out today that my boss has sold the business. So we've got new owners taking over our business. In the next, I think 3rd of February is the official takeover. So that's going to be fucking interesting. That looks better. Once I shadow that up, it'll be a little bit better, I think. 60-hour weeks. Whew. Damn. It's a big fucking week, dude. I've done my dash with fucking 60-hour weeks. Never doing that again. I think I'll just adjust the water. I think I'll bring this to here and then I'll adjust the water to meet the bottom of the step there. So we go here, pattern shape, edit points. Come up here, because obviously water's fluid, it's going to meet the bottom step, and then it's going to pull. We're going to bring some, try and take out some of this sharpness here, add some more points. That'll work. That's better than what I had before. This side was a bit weird. I'm going to have to do something similar over here. But we'll save that because that works. That works. You're in the same vote. Sold half the frame. Their boss sold half the farm. Yeah. Well, see this thing. Like the owner at the moment, he's only had it a year. So we found, like, wasn't supposed to find out today, but we found out today that, or most of us found out today, that he sold it and the turnover. The downside is who he sold it to could potentially have some pretty nasty ramifications for some employees. Others may fare a lot better. This person, and I've got to be careful how I approach this on Twitch and on YouTube because I could get myself banned for saying it. But they have a reputation of being very sexist and very racist at times, which can destroy a business, like destroy employees. Like it can have ramifications on that level. They have a tendency to bring in family to work and remove staff. Again, it depends on, like, sometimes you don't have any issues at all. Like there's others that are not an issue, period. Like they're good employers and they treat their staff really well, but then obviously others do not. So that could potentially be a problem. But we will see. We will see. Right, so now I'm going to do the same over here. Is it that way or that way? I don't think it really matters. These are much bigger, a longer stair, so it'll be a little bit more. But yeah, so I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen. Obviously, I want to try and stick it out as long as I can. Obviously, I don't want to quit my job because that'd be stupid. But also, too, I don't want to work for a complete twat. So hopefully, they're not complete cunts. That's all I can hope for. Oops, went too far on that one. I can almost guarantee there will be some staff that will leave. I think I might have left. This one's kind of doing this one on purpose. So there's more space either side of this staircase than there is this one. So it kind of works. Is that a retarded child?
Hey.
What do you want, retarded child?
No.
Why? Why should I say goodnight to you? You don't know. Well, that's even worse. If you don't know, then that's not going to work, is it? Because I'm your caregiver. You wouldn't say that earlier.
I know.
Fuck off to bed. Weird child.
Huh?
Ah? Bloody teenagers. Ah? What? What do you say? Exactly. Shut up and go to bed. Weirdo. Oh, children, who'd have them? Had to start a little wider at the top there to make this make sense. Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest issue is where we live. There's just not a lot of job opportunities around. So yes, while I will definitely be looking to see what's out there, at the same time, I know there's just really not. Not in our immediate area. Like, would have to go a little further abroad. Which is not a huge issue. Clearly, I don't have an issue traveling for work. But it just, yeah, I'd rather stick with it if I could. So hopefully it all works out, and the new owners are not complete wankers, and it just works out for the best. So I mean, that's best case scenario. I might just have to adjust the water here to meet the bottom of the stair, because I'm not. It seems like I'm going to have too many freaking stairs. Or did I start this back too far? Let's look at my map. No, it's about right. Bring the stair out a little bit more. Found it easier when you have. I definitely like. It's definitely to find a job while working is definitely easier than when you're not working. 100%. That is a definite thing. I'm only working part-time because I don't need to work full-time. Because we obviously want to have someone here for the tiny demon after school and whatnot. So this job was ideal for that. So I kind of want to keep that, and there's no way in hell I'll work at a hospital. No way in hell. Too many fucking weirdos at the hospital. I mean, you just got to look at Nutty, right? Holy shit. And that's just the workers, mate. And then you got to deal with those weirdo patients. No thanks. Nah, I mean, like I said, I'm hoping for the best. Hopefully it all works out. All right, so now I should that's pretty good. Let's adjust those stairs. Pattern shape. Let's adjust the water to meet the stairs. You don't need to be crazy to work with us. We train you. Yeah, whatever. It's just not going to happen. Giggity. It's a Keo. What's up? Giggity indeed. Lots of giggities. I'm going to bring this water up a little bit, I think, to meet with the base of the stairs. It makes it look a bit like it should be there. It looks more natural. Oh, natural. A wild evil. It's a wild Keo. So many of us in this community should remember Miss Keo Panda. And if you don't, go do the things in the stuff and chuck that lady a follow. So we got that one. I'm going to redo this one over here as well to match. Is why not? I think it definitely works better than what we kind of had. So the first part of the stair is at the corner of this. So we'll just put that in. Hello. The time zones really do suck, I must say. Like, time zones makes things hard. I mean, why can't we all just have the same time zone, right? Like, what is the world coming to? How about we just all be on the same time zone and fuck it all? Potato. No potatoes here tonight. My aim is perfect on these maps. Shady, what's up? Here's another content creator you should follow. Everybody, go make sure everyone follows everybody. If we get a shout out, make sure to follow the person that's being shouted out, because they are obviously awesome people. Because we don't just shout out everybody. It's easy for people to get in the yeah. US time zone is I mean, it's like a day behind and stuff, but man, to try and catch up with those of us over here in the opposite side of the world, it's like silly o'clock in the morning for you guys most of the time. We're almost there on this one. Then I'm going to add more shadow to make it look more realistic. Because at the moment, it's just a bunch of black lines. Right. Save that so I don't balls it up. Pattern shape, edit points. Let's get in here and edit some water. We can get our water into the right position, because this area is partially flooded. Yes, exactly. I mean, it's not terrible. I mean, that's what, Sunday night for you. So 2:49 Sunday night. I mean, it's not horrible, but yeah, it's still not ideal. Obviously, obviously, if my work hours allowed a little bit more, I'd probably look at doing more an earlier stream on occasion, just to accommodate for the US peoples, because we like our US friends. And we don't see them nearly enough. That kind of works. Let's save that. Monday, early Monday morning. Oh, you're in, that would put you Pacific or Central? East Coast. So EST. Oh, yes, that makes sense. Yeah, so depending on where you are in Australia, you're anywhere between 2 and 3 hours behind us, and over in and the US is 13 hours, give or take, 13 to 16 hours depending on where you are. Whereabouts are you, Shady? Because God, that's crazy. Oh, that's right, because Western Australia, do you guys don't have daylight savings, do you? Or have you gone the other way? Because 5 hours, that's huge. I didn't realize it was 5 hours. Usually 2 hours, most states, and then 3 hours behind daylight savings. Yeah. That's nuts. or when it's not summer. Yeah, that's nuts, eh? Like that's a massive jump for a country that's not that far away from us. WA always behind. No, we do daylight savings here. Some states in Australia do, others don't. I personally would love to see them fucking abolish it. Personally, I personally hate daylight savings. I think daylight savings is an absolute waste of time. So unnecessary now compared to considering why it was created in the first place. It's just not necessary anymore. Let's do that again. I can find my right shadow. Don't want wibbly. I want 60%. Yeah, I've got a yeah, my niece is in Perth. And we should go back to 13 months. I agree. 13 months a year is how it should be. I mean, that's how it was created, obviously. Totally agree with that, Stib. We should definitely go back to 13 months a year. I would love it if we actually did that properly. Right, so we're going to add all our shadows now, I think. Because I normally add my shadows at the end. But I'm experimenting with wall shadows right at the start of the map. Let's bring it down a little bit. 110. Because then I can see exactly where my shadows are under walls and things, and it just I think it'll help layer stuff too if I got the shadows in first. We were supposed to roll it a few years back, but I guess it didn't pass. Yeah, I mean it has its uses. Obviously, like summertime being barbecue season for us here, like we do a lot of barbecuing and that during the summer, and most countries do. So to have those extra hours of daylight toward at the end of the day makes barbecuing a whole lot more fun. But yeah, I just don't know. Like the whole idea of daylight savings just never appealed to me at all. And with 13 months, you wouldn't need daylight savings exactly. And considering that I mean, we should have a 13-month year anyway. It's how it started. It's kind of silly that they changed it. Without wanting to defend everyone, having 13 months would really fuck with the Christian holidays. Well, why do you think we ended up with a 12-month fucking year instead of 13? I mean, that's not offending anyone. That's fact. You can't. If someone's offended by facts, then they're a pretty terrible person, in my opinion. You have to work. You'd have to work 13 hours, not 12. The 13th month be called. The thing is, there used to be a month in there, like, because if you think about it, if you go through, like, for example, October is actually the 8th month. Oct being 8. So if you actually go through the meanings of the months we currently have, you can tie them directly to a number. And I honestly don't remember what the 13th month would have been called, but it would follow that same principle. December is 10, exactly. September is 7. So it follows that same principle across the board. So we're definitely missing some months on that level. So I would most definitely love to see a 13-month year be reinstated, but it's never going to happen. I think we're all dreaming if we think it will. But that was how it was. How, like, if you go back to the Mayan calendar is a 13-month calendar. Most natural calendars are 13 months. Undecember or Unidecember, apparently. Okay. Well, there you go. Nutty and Shady onto it there. Undecember. Interesting. But it kind of makes sense a little bit when you think about it, doesn't it? Good old Rob Zombie, eh? All right, so we need to run one down this way and then come around this corner. So this playlist is a 90s metal playlist. So we should hear some pretty awesome bangers from the 90s in this playlist. So January, February, March, April, May, June, Sol, July, August, September, October, November, December, going by what you can find out. Yeah, and I think the order in which the months, the 13 months would have been different based on the names. So yeah, it would be essentially supposed to be 13 months for 28 days each. So none of this 30, 31 bullshit, leaving 1 month that sometimes have 28 and sometimes has 29. So like it's no wonder that people are confused by it. So we're going to run this main shadow over the water as well, because obviously the wall is higher than the water. I don't want to go too far into those walls because those walls are natural, man-made walls. So they won't have as high a shadow as these cavern walls. So the shadow will bring it down a little bit for the interior walls. It'll bring them in for this one for now because it kind of works. Oh, Lepre sucks. It was Julius Caesar that changed it. Really? I didn't know that. Interesting. That was the Romans that fucked us. Dirty Romans. Okay, so I need to bring this door up to layer 2 to bring it above the water. So I need to bring all of our doors here up to layer 2 that are in this area. This is what I was talking about before with layers, making sure our layers are correct for flooded areas. So all our doors need to be above the water, so they need to be on layer 2. Actually, all of those pillars there too need to be on layer 2 because they... Oh no, they're above walls, they should be fine. Just the doors. Just the door. Right. Where did I get up to with the shadow? Over here. This map making thing is fascinating. I have been doing it for some time, so I've learned a little bit about it over the time. I enjoy the, like, obviously the creativity side, but it's all digital digital stuff. So it's all assets, digital assets from a company called Forgotten Adventures. The program is called Dungeondraft, and obviously there's a lot of layers involved. I think we can have up to 7 layers, so we can layer things above and below, which obviously you can get layers for water and shadow and things like that. I know that shadow actually worked for that too. I should be able to shadow these walls the same way. I thought it might have been a tad bit wide, but it looks like it'll work. Obviously, I have other assets, tables, chairs, all that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of things to add to the map to give it, obviously, give it life. Shadow is one of the biggest things. Obviously, you as an artist would know that shadow and shading makes a art piece come to life and give it depth, which is essentially what I'm doing here, just to separate our walls from the floors, just with a simple shadow. And we'll add things like water texture to the water to make it look more like water than just a flat piece of watery kind of texture. We'll add layer in some other textures to give it a bit more depth in water. Yeah, so normally I do this at the end. So this is, I'm trying a different process on this at the moment, because normally what I would do with shadows, that I'd put all my layer pieces in, so all of my furniture and all of the cosmetic stuff, and cartography, map making, it's essentially dressing the map. All of the dressing I would normally put in first, and then I'd come in and shadow everything after. But then sometimes that can have a bit of an issue when it comes to layering. So I thought, well, if I put my shadow in first, which is generally all on layer 1, I do have to fix that as well before I forget. That's a wall pathing tool, edit points. You can see here that we've got something doesn't quite meet where it's supposed to go. I need to join it. Make it look more 3D than flat, exactly. So yeah, I mean, like I said, these maps, the ones I'm doing at the moment, are all from a pre-written module on D&D Beyond called Phandelver and Below, which is basically a continuation of Lost Mines of Phandelver, and they've added almost like a DLC to the module, and they've called it Phandelver and Below, the Shattered Obelisk. So these maps are the maps from that module. I have previously done the Lost Mines of Phandelver maps, or my versions of those maps, because they do have those maps available on the module book and things like that. We have an ad. I'm sorry, guys. I'll be back in a moment. For those that are stuck in an ad, don't panic. I won't talk too much more about stuff. We'll get into it once the ad is finished. Wherever Ali dad joke, I never wanted to believe that my dad was stealing from his job as a road worker. But when I got home, all the signs were there. Badum-tush. That is terrible. It's not like we haven't heard that joke before. It's a very common joke in New Zealand, I must add. Yes, the joy of having me up on YouTube is no ads. Indeed, Mr. Grimm. That was, I think, I mean, that was part of the reason I decided to stream to YouTube as well. And it also means that I don't have to upload my VODs because, oh shit, I forgot a wall. I have a wall missing, people. I have to find my wall. Dave, had a wall missing. How you feeling, Grim? I know you've been pretty tired and that lately. Hopefully you're feeling a little better after your big nana nap the other night. Ads will be over in like a minute, guys. Oh crap, that was a terrible fucking shadow transition. Has that got a door? No, that's all stairs in there. So we'll add some stairs in here in a moment. We're getting there. It was a long day, but you try not to go to sleep too early. You're kind of, I mean, going to sleep too early will just fucks you for the rest of the evening too. Like if you, it's all, as much as I like to have the occasional nana nap in my chair, I always find that when I wake up, I'm so fucking tired. And then on top of that, when you do go to bed, you can't fucking sleep. I think ads are back. We're finished. Ads are gone. So those, sorry for those that have ads. For those of you that are not subbed on Twitch and want to avoid the ads, jump over on YouTube because I'm also streaming on YouTube. And there's no ads on YouTube. So if you wanna have an ad-free experience of the Evildoer channel, jump over there. I have the chat up so I can see the chat from YouTube as well. Although I do need to get used to watching it more often so I can see what's happening. It's on the other side of my OBS. I think that's all that side for Shadow. All that. So we've got some rooms over here to do. I mean, sorry if the shadowing part's a little boring. It can get a little boring. Watch me do the same shit over and over again in each room. We will start getting into some more interesting shadows shortly once I finish this stuff. And we'll start dressing the rooms and that as well. But the music is cool, so at least you get to watch me do boring shadow stuff with music in your ears. Work is kicking your ass, but otherwise all right. Yeah, it's pretty rough. Because you've been doing some big hours too, Grim. Like, and you've a lot more responsibility than you had previously, if I am remembering correctly. Keo, I'm glad to stop by. I'm sure I do have to lay down. Speaking of hard to sleep, took melatonin and about 20 minutes ago, and you have to be up in 6 hours. No worries, Keo. Always a pleasure to have you stop by, my friend. Great to see you. We miss you as well, and hope you sleep well. And all you awesome people in the chat, make sure you go check out Keo Panda, an amazing content creator. Does a lot of spooky games and makeup stuff as well. So definitely go check out Miss Keo if you got a chance. When you see her live, doing the things and the stuff. You're moving tomorrow? Damn. Staying in the same city or moving cities? I don't want to keep you up, but I think that's all the shadows, chat. And yeah, best of luck with the move. I hate moving. As much as I'm really good at moving, I really hate it. Oh, I missed the room. I knew I missed the room. Oh, so this is where the tower is. So we will do this on this room. Bring the shadow in this way because we need to build a tower in that area at some point. Because a tower fell over. Moving, best luck moving, good luck. Oh, you hate it too? Yeah, I didn't mind it so much when I was younger. Now that I'm significantly older and significantly more in pain, I don't like it so much anymore. Right, so we now have that shadow done. We are going to reduce the size of the shadow down to about 80, and then we're going to do something over here with this stuff. So we're now going to start from the bottom because that's where we should start. And we need to follow this line as much as we can without doing that shit. So we might bring this down a lot further, 55. This is where things get a little weird. I might have to overlap this a little bit with this. Might have to make it thinner still. I might have to do it this way. It'll be a little bit of overlapping shadow here and there, which kind of makes sense for stairs anyway. And obviously once other shadows are listed into this, it'll be less obvious that you've got the overlap anyway. Because the whole area is going to get darker as you go up into the crux of the stairs. Blue flower, hello. How are you? I'm doing really well, thank you. Hopefully you are doing well also. Actually, I could fade this one out. Transition and fade. Because then it will make this look a little better coming into these areas. Well, that one was a little weird little freaking skip on the shadow. Come around to there. That's not too bad. And then we're going to do this one. We're going to fade it and then out because it's what it does. It has been a while, Miss Blue. How you doing? Like, I caught up, kind of like often see you in live stream and stuff, but I haven't done these kinds of streams for a while, so there's going to be a little bit more consistency with the streams on Evildoer's channel. Obviously, Mapmaker Monday is going to be a thing. Thursday, I still don't know what the hell I'm doing Thursday yet. Probably just Call of Duty. Every Friday at this stage, because one of our D&D games has been postponed for a while, so I'll be doing every Friday, doing a mix of Call of Duty and Killing Floor 2 with community open lobbies. So this week it'll be Call of Duty, because next week it's Killing Floor 2. So yeah. And of course, every other Saturday, we will be doing Land of the Lost D&D campaign, which will be on this channel now, not on Mix and Minions, because that has now been terminated. It was worth it. It was worth the experiment in the end. So that's not looking too bad. That does not look horrible. I was really concerned it was just looking kind of terrible. I probably could thin the shadow out a little bit more, but it's not horrible. I could go in with a shadow again, a thinner shadow, and really darken up that edge. But I will add some stones and stuff, which will hopefully solve a lot of that sort of issue anyway. Just to take away from those edges. Oops, fucked that one up. And that gives us our, when you're looking at it from that perspective, we know that stairwell's going down, right? You shall be there this week. Nice. You finally landed a job? Nice. How you doing? Jobs are good. Doing the hard yards. Are you working? Oh, Nutty did say you'd got a job at IKEA. Right, so that's that one done. Let's try this one. I'm going to try this one a little different with a shadow coming down this side. We're going to try the fade in, fade out thing. Finished work that morning, so you're going to try and be awake for it. Hey, nice, dude. It's the sessions have been going pretty well. Like the team, again, slightly different story-ish compared to when you guys played it last, when we did it the first time. Obviously different group, slightly different transition into the realm, and I've altered some of the NPCs in this one, so there's definitely some significant changes from when you guys first played it. So obviously with Yanti being involved in this one, there's going to be things that I don't have to worry about accidental meta or anything like that, because realistically, like, I've made a significant change anyway. Yes, I'll have a coffee, thanks. Please and thank you. If you only if you're making one. Ooh, crap burgers. Yep, it's going well. It is going very well. We've got 2 campaigns running right now. Obviously, we've got my fully homebrew campaign, Paradigm 2. We're about 50 sessions in on that one. Players are about level 7, and they are really getting into the crutch of the story. With the Land of the Lost, which is the one we're streaming here on Twitch, the players are level 3 and doing reasonably well also. No one's died yet. We've had a close call. We've had an unconscious player, and the unconscious player has also had to roll on a sanity table. So when you reach near death or have become the result of a revivify spell in this particular land, instead of doing what I did last time with the dark gifts, I've added a bit of a sanity table instead. So there are temporary and permanent sanity things that can happen to the players if they die or have something very like super horrific happen. They roll on the sanity table, and they could end up with a permanent tick. They could end up with scarring. I've got lingering wounds table, so if they take major damage, they might end up with missing finger or a missing limb. There's a lot of fun. You'd be fucked with that one. So it's been it's taken a bit of work. Like, I've run Curse of Strahd before, so this is a homebrew, what I call a reimagining of Curse of Strahd. So I've run it before with another group, and I ran it pretty much as the book wrote it, as it was written in the book. A few minor changes here and there, just to suit. But this time round, I decided I wanted to make some pretty significant changes to NPCs, add some NPCs. I obviously want to try and get the players to do some slightly different things and go to different areas that the previous players didn't get to explore. So that's obviously a thing. So I'll be creating story hooks, I guess, to maybe try and entice them to go to a slightly different area. Hopefully that'll work. If it doesn't, no drama. It's all about, the story's about them after all. So whatever they decide to do is what they decide to do. And hopefully a different outcome, because the previous game, my players pretty much decided that Strahd was the bad guy right from the word go, and they wanted to kill him. This time round, I have every intention of trying to really push the issue that he's not a bad dude, and that he's trapped. Like, he's trapped. He's a good guy. He's trapped in this place just like everybody else, and that they might be able to save him. How that works out will depend on the players and how I sort of give them information and that sort of thing. So it's how I present him to them. So far, again, it's early days. It's very early days. Like I say, level 3, they've only just got there. Not a bad guy, just a cunt. Well, there's that too. We have a warlock in ours. He's saved the little girl from drowning, but used a dimension door with her to get back onto the boat. So now he has a permanent silver streak in his hair from his magic. That is awesome. Those kind of consequences I like. I like the idea of some things having a consequence, and obviously because of where they are in this realm of the Shadowfell, I mean, and this time around, no one really knows about it either. So previous campaign, we had players that had an understanding of the history of Barovia. And so they had some understanding of Strahd, so they knew he was a vampire. They knew that he was potentially a bad dude, and things just happened to sort of solidify that. This time round, no one in the party has any predetermined knowledge of the area. So that means that no one knows where they are right now. So that at the moment they're just exploring and still trying to figure out whether they can get home to where they are from, because they're from Daggerford, which is in Faerun. And as far as they know, they're still kind of there. And they just need to get home because they've been given a job to do. And they haven't completed that job yet, and they know they're somewhere strange, just not sure where, basically. They haven't really figured out that they are not in Faerun anymore. That will probably potentially happen in the next session or two, which is cool. It's kind of how I kind of planned it anyway. So it's actually worked out pretty good. But there are definitely consequences to things in this realm. Spells are different. So spells have most conjuration type spells like a mage hand and things like that have a very different form in this world. Everything has taken on a very undeadish form. So mage hand is skeletal instead of just a regular mage hand. So you've got this whole thing everything's a little different in this realm. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see how these guys sort of play it out. They haven't really, they've met a few NPCs. None of the real major ones of the story yet, but they're doing well. You're a divination wizard, level 2. First couple of sessions you rolled con saves whenever you came out of warging with your familiar to see if you would get sick after doing it. Nice. Rolled well both times though, so I thought it was a waste of time doing it. Well, yes and no. There's always that one roll, that natural one that will send you off the deep end and make it all worth it. Like, rolling well's all good and fine. You think, oh, I roll well all the time. It's maybe it's not going to work too well. But when you roll that shitty roll, it makes it all worth it. So do you play in person around the table? That one's your curse. you always roll. You roll one nearly every session. That ones are amazing. I love rolling low. Like, to me, rolling low makes the game. Like, I love failing rolls because it just makes things so much funnier. Warlock rolled a nat 1 on a con save for seasickness on the boat. Unfortunately, no. Yeah, I mean, obviously we're playing digital. I mean, I've got 2 games running digitally at the moment. I'm DMing 2 digital games and playing in a round the table home game. So I'm lucky enough to get the best of both worlds. But I don't mind digital. Oh yeah, you'd be great in Call of Cthulhu, Shady, because one's the best role you can make in Call of Cthulhu. And the lower you roll, the better it is. You'd be perfect. 100%. Well, it works on a percentile die, so rolling high on a D100 is bad. Rolling low is good. You thinking of DMing a Kids on Bikes campaign? Interesting. Interesting. I'm kind of stuck on the high fantasy stuff myself. I like 5e, although in saying that, after Paradigm 2 completes, we're probably going to be doing another Vampire the Masquerade story, which I'm thoroughly enjoyed our last one, so I'm definitely looking forward to potentially doing another one of those, because I like vampires and vampires are fun, and playing a vampire is even more fun. Okay, that's turned out better than I thought. I was concerned that those stairs would not turn out well. We've got another setup here that we've got to do as well. Might as well do that while we're here. Got our wibbly step. Increase it back out to 1.2. It's coming now. I mean, this at the moment it's just walls and shadows and stairs. We will be having filling in each room and stuff and soon, very soon. I just got to get this last lot of stairs in. We need to, this one will be the same. So come this way. But this wibbly line is actually better than the other one. I should have used this one before. This one actually has its shadowed properly. And I forgot that I was fucking fading. I don't want to fade on these. I should have looked at this one before. Oh, good. It's not that cold, Nutty. I mean, thank you, but it doesn't worry me whether you do it, whether you've turned it on or not. I don't have a problem with the cold like you do. I mean, I probably will add more shadow to these, but this wobbly step is, I won't need to worry about the shadows down here so much. I forgot I could make it a lot wider. So it actually looks almost looks like it should do already, which is kind of cool. You're a lizard, yes. There you go, Nutty. You got coffee orders coming in from everywhere. I think that one doesn't come down all that far. Have I not gone far enough down? I think I've gone. I ballsed up, chat. I ballsed up. It needs to come down further than that. It's down about here. I made an error that I have rectified. Do one more, and I think that would be all we really need to worry about with this one. I don't think I need to add any more shadow to that. We might look at that a little bit later, but we're good there. all of our steps, natural steps are done. Or maybe I do. Maybe I do. I think I do. Brings down to 5. Fade, fade. Add a little more depth to the shadow. It's not quite as deep as I wanted it. That looks better. That looks a bit better. Other way, dumbass. I've been waiting for years from a copy from Nutty. Yeah. We can't. I mean, if you guys ever make it across the ditch, then she might make you coffee, and vice versa. I mean, chances of us getting over to Australia anytime soon are slim to none, but I mean, I still have every intention of living there one day. Like, I'm tired of New Zealand. I want to get out of this fucking shithole. But unfortunately, money and got to pay some bills first. Melbourne, you're doing amazing in Melbourne. Yeah, Melbourne's definitely one place we did consider. I mean, I'm lucky enough to have family in a couple of places in Aussie, and so does Nutty. So I think we've got family in both Brisbane and Melbourne and in Perth. Well, if we went to the city, Trash, we wouldn't have to worry about fucking spiders, would we? We'd barely see them. I just wouldn't move. I just wouldn't move to fucking Sale. Like, I've looked up Sale on the freaking map, and Sale looks like a freaking half the size of New Plymouth, which is closest to us. And where you're at, yeah, the weather's too much like New Zealand for my liking. I want to go somewhere warm, like winter is warm, not cold. So, I mean, Brisbane would probably be more likely the option, again, depending on work and everything else, but Brisbane is more likely where we'd end up. Or Perth. But I think, like, Perth's, like, tropical, though, isn't it? Like, more tropical than anywhere else. Dry. Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to go to Perth. Like, I mean, Brisbane, let's see, Brisbane's probably going to be the more likely candidate, I would imagine. Brizzy's a wet heat. Yeah, we get that here. We get real humid heat here as well. But yeah, it just depends. So it's going to come down to obviously a number of things: where we can find work, family support, because unfortunately for Kiwis looking to relocate to Australia, There is zero support from the Australian government if anything goes wrong. So we do have to be very careful where we would relocate. We'd have to make sure we had a bit of a support system, because the Australian government are a bunch of wankers and they just do not support Kiwis at all. Whereas the other way around, Aussies coming to New Zealand have all the support in place that they and I'm talking financial support. If you can't find work, you're eligible to get onto the benefit here, which is your guy's Centrelink, things like that. There's just so much more support for Australians coming to New Zealand than there is the other way around. So it's obviously it's about setting ourselves up to a position to be in a position where if we did go over, that we had a decent cushion to come back if we needed to. And that's just good planning to make sure you've got yourself set up so that you have an option to be able to then return home without having nothing, basically. Right. So you were out of work for 6 months when you moved over. Should definitely waited until you had a job. Yeah, I mean, and I think that's again where we're probably in a bit of a unique position for that too, is because of Nutty's qualifications and the skills that she has, it would not be difficult for her to find work before we left the country. And probably not so much for me either, because I've got 20 plus years in retail. So bar work, gas stations, supermarkets, dairies, things like that. I don't think I'd have any hassles finding work either. But it would probably be an option that at least one of us was going over to a job before we looked at moving. Or you go over with enough money to support yourself for an extended period of time to ensure that you can find work. So like for example, if we weren't going over to work, I would want to have like 25,000 in the bank as a buffer, just to ensure that we had enough money to live if we didn't find work straight away. And that's kind of like where we're at. Like we've got a couple of bills we need to clear. Once that's done, we will probably sell everything. We did consider shipping stuff over, but then that just becomes another major expense. So we will probably look at selling everything, and we probably would be looking at coming over with about 25-30K. So it's all in motion for the next. It's our 5-year plan, long term. So it's not something that we're putting dates on. I would like to do it sooner rather than later myself, because I'm just tired of New Zealand. I've never been anywhere. I'm 50 years old and I've never left the country. So I'm just sick of this country. I'm sick of being here. I know there's not a huge difference between New Zealand and Australia economy wise and cost of living and all that sort of stuff, but there's definitely far more opportunities. Not just for like work and things like that, but for the tiny demon for schooling and that for him too. Like New Zealand is so backward in a lot of things. Yeah, it's hard when you got family. Like that's kind of where we're at as well. I got 2 grandkids, but I don't get to see them all that often now, so it wouldn't be much different moving to Australia. They live in Wellington. We don't get a chance to get down to Wellington very often, so we're only down there sort of once or twice a year. And my son and his wife don't come up here all that often, so it's kind of that sort of maximum 2 or 3, maybe 4 times a year we get to see the grandkids. So it wouldn't be much different moving to Australia. So that's kind of where I'm at for that. And that's about my only tie. Like the rest of my family, I mean, my brothers are all married and got kids, and their kids are all growing up, and it's like it's just not a big issue anymore. Right. First room, which is this little room right here. There's not a whole lot in this room, by the way. So a few lumps of old slag and tumbled stone, all that remain in this large room. Words are carved into the double door that leads south. Doors also exit to the east and west. The one that to the west bears a large X in dark red. The tunnel from the surface winds down through the earth more than a mile. The deepest point is a cave-in that collapsed the back wall of this room. So, which is all of this stuff here. This will be this cave-in sort of leads into this area here. So we're going to add some rock piles and things. Well, that's the thing. Like, it's kind of the idea is obviously, yeah. Once if we were to go to Aussie, then going over there because of the opportunity to earn a bit more money and things like that, and the cost of buying flights from Australia is so much cheaper than buying them here in New Zealand. Like, it's just crazy. Like, the difference in price between flying, like paying for a ticket here in NZ dollars and then flying to, say, Melbourne and back again versus what it is to buy it from Australia is just fucking nuts. I win. I always win. That's right, I licked her face. She hates it, so I do it. Just internet suck. Yeah, that's probably the biggest thing. Is it's obviously we would take a step backwards in the internet infrastructure, but it's not as bad as it used to be. It's way worse. It's way better now than what it was 10 years ago. You could join our table games, and you go to Ireland together. Yeah, I think it also depends on where you go too. I would imagine in like the likes of in and around Melbourne and Brisbane that they'd have fibre to the house. But the speed is still nowhere near. Like, do you guys get gigabyte fibre over there? Yeah, so you got, I mean, you can get gig fibre. So that's not terrible then. I would assume it's relatively expensive still though. So we're going to use the darker stones for this stuff. Yes, Nutty will do that. I'm not one for going to concerts and things. I mean, going with other people definitely. I'm a bit weird like that. So they're calling it tumbled stone, so we might make more this sort of rock pile. Slag and tumbled stone. So we're going to put some rock piles here, some different types of piles of stone, just to give that impression. And then we'll look at the actual scattered stone. Go under, see if I can find my actual stones. I have to type them in. Yeah, gigabyte, yeah, literally gigabyte. So 1,000 megabytes. In New Zealand, it's 900 down, 500 up. So 900 megabytes download, 500 megabytes upload. Got some smaller scattered stone here somewhere. A lot of stone stuff. Yours is 100. So that's 100 megabytes, not 100 gig. Holy shit! If it's 100 gig, I'll be over there in a second because 100 gig, Jesus Christ. I wish you could get 100 gig fucking internet. That's a broken pillar. It's speedy, yes. I mean, at the end of the day, I'd be 100 with I'd be happy with 100 meg down and 50 meg up. I mean, that's a reasonable speed. I mean, obviously the faster the speed, the quicker the download, but it just doesn't bother me if they are slightly slower. Put some random smaller rocks around the place because it has been a little bit abandoned, this area. We're going to have these random placements of rocks and things. Go back to rubble. We're going to have things like those up against the corners of here. Had a bit of a cave in, so we need to add the right type of stone. Sort of depict that. And then, oh, crap burgers, go this way. I'm missing something here. Oh, no, I'm not. I just wasn't looking properly. So we're going to go above walls here to this area here, and we're going to add just to hide so it kind of looks like it's part of the wall, but also part of the cave-in a little bit. So that's pretty much the first room, guys. That's pretty much it. That's this room. What I probably will do is add some cobwebs and things, just to give it age, and maybe some dust on the ground as well. Go back down to layer 1. So I'll look at doing that later, like after the fact. I like to dress the room and then maybe add dust under it. So all the stuff here is on layer 1, obviously. So if I was to add, say, dust, we go, and I think I use cloud. Oh, pardon me. Nope, smoke. Smoke. That one, no, it's not smoke. Is it cloud? Dust. Go back to that. It might have been cloud. There's a particular dust, smoke, or cloud, or mist, it might have been, that I use, and I take some of the alpha out and I color it. Is it this one? That's waterfall mist. Pretty sure it was cloud. Try dust. No. This stuff's not colorable. That's spores. That's weird. I can't find it now. Have a look over here. In my list. In my big list. I'm pretty sure it was smoke. Maybe it wasn't smoke. Water foam. Definitely wasn't that. No worries, it's a girl. Thank you so much for dropping by. Good to see you. Honestly, don't remember what it was that I used now, to be fair. I was pretty sure it was smoke. Mr. What's yes, I'm making D&D maps. Add some furries and bikinis? Yeah, no, I'm good. No furries and bikinis. Moss? No, it was moss. Oh, damn caves. It's kind of, it's from a pre-written module, so it is a place called Gibbet Crossing from Phandelver below Shattered Obelisk. So it's kind of a cave, kind of a it's a bunch of areas. There's a drow area, a dwarven area, and a dark gnome area. I was trying to find something that I was using for dust, and I can't remember what it was. I'm sure it was fucking smoke or clouds. It must have been smoke. Because then I can do this, turn it sort of a grey colour, and then take the alpha out of it, make it really big. I need to take more alpha out of it. Yeah, I think it was that. It wasn't particularly that one. It might have been that one. Actually, it was that. So I just need to take more of the alpha out. Yeah, so it was that. So I was using bits of these to layer in dust on the cobblestones. So you had patches. So if you look at it compared to obviously this room, which is pretty clean, you've got a layer of dust in here. And what I could do if I really wanted to is actually layer in some footprints too. So we'll save that because this whole area is technically been abandoned, kind of. So we can add cobwebs and stuff in later as well. So G2, which is this little room I'm hovering over at the moment, is a workshop or a storeroom. Shelves and racks in the storeroom hold iron bars of various lengths. The heavy bars were raw materials for the Dwegar workshop. Left here once the Dwegar started relying on mithril for their Smurf giblins. The Sverf Neblin is what they're called, dark gnomes. I hate that word. It's hard to say when you've got no teeth, so I call them dark gnomes. So the dark gnome neighbors. The bars are badly rusted and valueless. If a dwarf character or characters proficient in history inspects the bars, they identify markings indicating that they are of Dwegar make. Character proficient in history also realizes that the Dwegar clan that once used these marks is long gone, overwhelmed by mind flayers many generations ago. Sverf, as in S-V-I-R-F. Sverf Niblin. Sverf. Sverf. So we got shelves. This is a dwarven area, so it'll be stone shelves. So we're going to go... just go stone and see what I can find under stone. There is something that I have used for stone shelving before, and it's just a matter of finding it. It is a thin table, I believe. I mean, Snurf works too, I guess. Nope, it's not going to work. It's gonna find these. I should write these down so I know what they are for next time. For dealing with I could use that, but it doesn't quite fit well. Doesn't look. It doesn't. I suppose that kind of looks like a stone shelf by the time I shadow it up and stuff and put stuff on it. But the lip is kind of weird, so I don't like to use that. Stone doors, stone inlays. I mean, I could use the wall. I could use those as shelves, potentially. I mean, that could work as a shelf. Obviously, I want it in. I mean, that could work as a table, shelf table. I could turn them into tables, even though it says shelves and racks. I mean, looking at their map, yeah, I mean, I could use something like that. That would work better. So let's make something here. Ali Dad joke. I tried to write a chemistry joke, but never got a reaction. But I'm dish. I put that like that, and then we go over. That could work. Because then when I'm putting stuff on this, I just put them over the literally over top of the joins, and that can hide those joins. So we've got shelves there. I can put another small shelf there. And then it says racks. We go rack. Not tracks. I mean, we've got empty, put an empty tool rack in here. Got one with tools on it. It'd be old rusty. Put this one in on this side and say that those tools were all rusted to shite. And also again, we can add some cobwebs and bits and pieces. And then it's said it's got iron bars. Heavy bars. If we go bar. Nope, I can come over here to huts and wagons. It'll be Dwarven, like Dwarven thing. Or Dwarven stairs, fences, forge. Mining. It'll be under mining cart stuff. Minecart fills. That's those. Mine tracks. Mine accessories. Nope. Ore and rock. Ore.
Suffering will be legendary even in hell.
We'll be right back. And that has started. I don't know, just ship sail, ship's rigging, smelting slags. That's tangs. Stairs metal. I could potentially use some of this rusty stuff here as let me come up a layer. I could do that and look at different size bars. Because that's all it's basically saying is just these random bars and they're all rusted and not really worth anything. And they're long bars too. So that'll kind of work for that. I don't think there was a forge in here because it was just a storeroom. Shelves and racks in the storeroom hold iron bars of various lengths. So we've got a few different sizes there. I don't think we can go anything smaller than that. Yes, we can. Layer 3 on top of these. Because once I shadow underneath that, that'll make those stand up anyway. Let's put back down to layer 2. Layer 3. 4, whatever, stack of bars there. And we'll just add some random bars along here. And that pretty much exactly sort of sets that room. That's basically what they've described. It's just a storeroom. Obviously we will add our dust in here on the floor because this is obviously a storeroom. It's going to be dusty as shit. And we'll add some cobwebs in that later on as well. So that's that one. G3 is this room here. I think, is their ad finished? I don't know. I can't tell. I can't tell. Ah, he changed the name on YouTube. Well done, Mr. Stib. So next room is G3, which is the cage workshop. Let's have a look at what they've got in their cage workshop. It looks like it's got a fireplace and everything in it. Might have a forge, which might be a forge, and an anvil and stuff. So, stamps lathes line the walls of this large workshop. 4 airy figures toil between a dark forge striking metal that isn't there. Several stone tables bear old tools and metal rods adorned with spikes. A cage in the southeast corner bears inward pointing spikes. Wow. Torture room. Hello. 4 feral ashen wights are bound to the workshop in which they worked while alive. They attack trespassers and fight until destroyed. The workshop was used to create metal cages of various sizes, all adorned with wicked spikes pointing inward and outward, or both. Cunning hinges and reinforced pins made these cages easy to fold for transport when empty. Weirgar ran a moderately successful business selling these macabre cages, but their business reached new heights when they started incorporating lightweight mithril into their folding cages. Cool. Okay. So we have obviously a forge, which is probably not lit. Let's have a look on their map because okay, so the forge is on this wall here. So see, we've got a forge, but I want one that's not lit. We'll use this big stone forge here. We go above walls so it can sit on the wall. That might be too big. It might be too big. Let's have a thinner one. That one looks like it'll work better. So we stick it above walls. We can stick it so the chimney obviously goes up into the wall. So that's our forge. Come back down to layer 1. So that's the forge, which is not lit. I'm going to say we have an anvil in here as well, which will be kind of rusty. Where would that be in that room? Would be in this corner. Put that there. And I said lathes. I don't think we have a lathe. I don't think we really have machineries. I mean, we've got... I could put in like a sharpening wheel. I mean, I suppose. Just curious. D&D is like use your imagination with some rules applied. Yes. Yes. Well, more or less. D&D, depending on what part of D&D looking at, like we use 5th edition rule set. So there are a set of guidelines, if you will, to follow. But then you create a character built within a set of ruling based on your class and race and things like that, and then you play your character. You basically act your character. So that's where your imagination comes in. There are pre-written stories that you can follow, or you can create your own world and story. So as an example, every other Saturday at the moment I'm running a game called Land of the Lost, which is a pre-written module, Curse of Strahd, but I have tinkered with it and changed some things to make it a little bit more my own. And then my players have created a character, and then they play those characters and decide what they're doing. Like I give them guidelines and give them information, and then they decide what they do and they act out what they're doing. Theater of the mind with these maps and things like that. So essentially you're right. It's basically telling a story using your imagination, but following some applied rules. So yeah, I mean, very, very basically put, you're exactly right. I'm not going to put a computer console in because that would look a bit weird. But I could potentially put in... It's a tailor's sewing machine. It's a stasis pod. I don't think we can put in a stasis pod. I don't think that would work. I mean, we could put in something like that in that corner just to give an idea. And we could put in the racks as well. So I could come back and use these racks again. And just increase the size of the rack a little bit. Put this one in here. Put this one in here. We could put another anvil over in this corner. Right. Oh, look at that! We got a blapple coming in to raid us. It's a Blapple raid! I like apples. Massive raid 27. Thank you so much. That is awesome. How you doing, Blapple? The people wanted map making? That's awesome. Well, welcome in Blapple's friends and community. My name is Evildoer. I am a GM slash gamer slash old man, and I play games and make maps and play D&D. River Bay, what's up? Reaver Bay, sorry. Geez, I got to get that right. I'm also Blapple's current DM. Blapple is playing in my Land of the Lost campaign, which is streamed here every other Saturday. So if your community, Blapple, wants to come and hang out with us every other Saturday, and you can give Blapple shit about her roleplay if you like. Reaver with a follow, thank you very much. Welcome to Evil's Lair. My name is Evildoer, and I'm a DM and thing and stuff. But yes, rip your roleplay. Your roleplay is actually pretty good. Like, bit of constructive criticism and honesty. There is no constructive criticism because roleplay is roleplay. At the end of the day, you play your character how you play your character. I don't tear apart anyone's roleplay because at the end of the day, it is what it is. People play their characters how they see fit, and you've done very well at playing a character that has intrigued my interest because your character likes to touch things, which makes it easy for the DM to screw with your character because I can make things you touch do things back, which is awesome. So I like touchy-feely characters because it makes my job easy. You haven't played D&D in years? Well then, in contrast, I have played D&D for years. I started playing, to let you know roughly how old I am, I started playing Dungeons and Dragons way back in about 1984. And have been playing ever since, and have been a game master now, or dungeon master now, for about 10 years. Blapple touches things. The gazebo attacks. Exactly. You didn't touch the table mimic though, or the door mimic, but you did touch plenty of picture frames and door frames and things, and eventually it will come back and bite you in the ass. Used to play in Auckland homebrew groups. Awesome. I am currently running 2 games. So I'm running Land of the Lost, which we're streaming here every other Saturday. Every second Sunday, I'm streaming, or not streaming, playing, GMing a homebrew game in a homebrew world that I created for another group. And I'm also currently playing in a home game around the table where my brother is my DM. Which is in a more hardcore setting. So more hardcore rules. Death is very, very much a thing that could happen more frequently in our home game. In fact, I've already lost a character in that game, and we're only just level 5. And technically, I was playing in another game with Sticks, but we've obviously had to put that on hold for a bit because of losing a player, and obviously this time of year gets a bit hairy for games. Which is something we'll be looking at for Land of the Lost and P2 at some point. We'll probably put them on hold over Christmas, New Year. Obviously, people have IRL things, and I normally like to take a break over Christmas, New Year for a few weeks, just so everyone doesn't have to worry about it. But yes, it's a lot of games. Yes, you are allowed to watch these streams because these do not contain anything that you will interfere with what you're currently doing. This map has got is not anything to do with the game you're currently playing, so you're fine. And a general anyway, like I look at it from the perspective, even if it was, I trust all my players not to metagame. So at the end of the day, the only person that suffers from metagaming is the player, because you're only hurting your own experience if you're going to metagame. Which is why I don't have an issue with players replaying campaigns that they've played before, because two reasons. One, they're normally playing it again with a different character and from a differing experience. Two, I like to change things up in my games anyway, so when if I run the same adventure more than once, it's going to be different each time I play it, as a general rule. I mean, the basis is the same, but there will be differences, which will throw those players off anyway, and it's more fun to let the dice decide in those instances. So, because there could always be a negative impact, and failures are always more fun than success. So, back to what we're doing. We've just, as I see, I'll show you the whole map we're looking at the moment. We're just dressing it. So what I've done, this is a very big map. So we've got a series of caves leading into different areas. So this area here to the west of the map is a dwarven area, or a dark dwarven area. This area over here is a dark gnome area. No worries, Babel. And this area here with the flooding and stuff is a dark elf area. So there's a little, there'll be differences between each area. So at the moment we're doing the dark dwarven area. So we've got an area here which is just rubble and things, an empty storeroom with some bars, some ore and stuff in it. And now we've come into a room which is a bit of a forge, a bit of a workshop. So it's called a cage workshop. So literally stamps lathes line the walls of this workshop. Got some eerie figures walking around in here. We've got a forge, we've got some anvils, and it says there's some stone tables in here as well, which I'm going to add. And there is a cage in the southeast corner, which is down over here, which is where this anvil is, which I'm going to move because we're going to put this over here. We're going to have a double anvil set up here. So one up here. We're going to put a cage down here. But we do need to put some tables in. So I'm going to use this as my table because it is a dwarven area. So we're going to have stone tables, right? You need to go get some kai, twiddle thumbs. Hey, hang out, man. I say, go get yourself some food. I will be here for at least another hour, I would imagine. So I'm going to put a table here. And I think we're going to move, I'm going to chuck that table down there. I think we're going to delete this anvil, move this rack up to here, and we're going to put this table down here against that wall. And then we're going to find ourselves a cage, and I have several cages that we could probably use for this. Need a top-down cage, I believe, and it's got spiky bits on it, and we have a spiky bit cage. Have we got one that's got a closed door, perhaps? Here we go. Make it a rusty one. Because this cage apparently has spiky bits in it, so better add this. So we'll add that cage in there. So these tables have old tools on them. So I believe melting molds, chutes, sleighs and sleds. Let's find our tools section. Tools hand. This is what we're wanting. So we're going to go up to layer 2 because we're going to add some shadow to these a bit later as well. So we're going to put, and most of these are going to be rusty as well, because that's a coal shovel. We could probably put coal shovel on the edge of there. Wooden mallet on there. See what other tools we've got. Tongs. Put some tongs on the anvil there. And again, this is all about representation. Just making sure we're covering our bases. So that essentially covers that room. So as I said before, they've got four feral ashen wights, which are basically undead. Just going through the motions in this room using the forge. They're not actually doing anything because the forge is cold. They've been dead for a long time. Treasure in this room is the fully assembled cage, which is in the bottom right, bottom of this map here, which is there. Is a finished example of the collapsing cages that these people were creating. It can be folded flat with 1 minute of work. It weighs about 50 pounds. Although much of the cage is made from iron, it has reinforcing bars and hinges made from mithril. The cage doesn't have a lock. Customers paid extra for locks manufactured elsewhere. The cage is worth about 200 gold. So obviously the players can take this cage potentially. Oh yes, ignore that spam. I forgot to turn that off. But normally when we run our pew-pews, our gaming, myself and Era stream together, so that is the link to go watch more than one stream at once. It's actually pretty cool. I must remember to turn that off when I'm not streaming with Era. I'll just turn that off so it won't spam again. I'm also streaming on YouTube too, guys. So if you are not subbed and you want to watch ad-free, jump over on the YouTubes. Go subscribe over there. It costs you nothing to sub, and you get ad-free watching of things and stuff. So that's the cage workshop, which is G3, and I believe the next area that we're going to work on is G4, which is this area here, which is a living area by the looks of it. Doesn't look like it has a whole lot in it though. So living quarters. So several short iron bed frames are jumbled together in this room. Nothing remains of any bedding. An opening to the south leads into an alcove containing 2 long tables and a splintered chair. To the west is a door bearing a painted red X, opens to a long hallway that leads deeper into the crossing. So I know I don't have any steel beds, but what we can do, oh no, we do have metal bed frames here. So I can use these bed frames. We're going to make them smaller because obviously 5 feet is 5 feet. And we don't want them to be too huge because it's a dwarven area. Where is my grid? It's kind of hard to see at the moment. That's about 5 feet. And looking at this area, they've sort of jumbled up around here. We'll put one in here. We got a more rusty. There we go. Here's a more intact one. Put this one up in here. Assuming all of these would be kind of rusty and broken. Go back up to layer 2 because they're kind of just layered up all over each other actually. Didn't say how many. It just says several. So we'll put those in that. That's fine like that. There's nothing much else in this room, and there's obviously down here we've got some long tables. So I could potentially use these also as tables because they kind of look like tables to me. And if I put them on layer 2, we can make them tables. And it says a single busted chair too. So we'd look at that. Got that one, that one. So the first table is 5, 10, about there. And the second table is about there. And it says a splintered chair. I wonder why it's only one chair. Kind of weird for it to be a single chair. But we got broken chairs, so we can type in broken. And we can find, hopefully got some decent broken chairs here. We got so much broken stuff. I mean, look at it. We got broken cribs and beds and pots and all sorts of stuff. And then we got our broken tables and stools. And here's our broken chairs. So we'll use a splintered chair down on layer 1. And again, we've got to be careful of size and scale being dwarven. So I need to look at these tables. It's going to be about 4 feet wide, the table. The squares are 5 feet in size, so I'm going to put it inside there. So that's about right for scale, I think. So ashen burn marks on the floor indicate past campfires. Remains of wooden chairs in the alcove to the south appear to have been broken up for firewood. Makes sense. Little guys make stuff, big stuff. Well, they do. So I could potentially put, I think I can do that. If I got blast, I can put scorch marks on the floor too, which is very cool. So I can put some random scorch marks around the floor to depict the campfires. At past camp, remains of wooden chairs in the alcove in the south appear to be broken up for firewood. The long hallway to the west includes doors to the showroom. A shredded backpack. Ooh, so we might be able to put this hidden under the chair just for shits and gigs. We can find just a random. It's shredded, but I don't think we have a broken backpack here. But if we grab just a simple backpack. And this says, shredded backpack contains a set of cartographer's tools, 6 pints of oil, and an illustrated book about ropers, an emerald worth 250 gold, and a lantern of revealing. Interesting. So we'll grab this here. I'm just going to poke this under the table and have it just poking itself out there. As again, there's a little visual representation. Obviously, again, if there's no battle in here, the players, like the way that I'm playing my games currently, is my players are less likely to see this map because of that. However, I'll still describe it, and there'd be a perception roll to see if they notice the backpack anyway. But obviously, if I was using this as a visual representation of where they were and had them on the map, then they would see it hopefully, and want to investigate. Because, I mean, if they're walking around the room, they're going to see it. It's not going to take much to see a backpack sitting under a table. So we'll save that. So that's G4. The hallway is the hallway. There's nothing in the hallway apart from that. Well, again, I will add dust and probably cobwebs and everything to all this sort of stuff because it's old and has been empty for some time. The next area is they call the showroom, which is this area here, G5. I need to remember to drink my coffee before it gets cold. And it's almost there. So we'll take a short break while I'm drinking my coffee. So in this area, this room is empty, but crumbling wall carvings show Dwergar unfolding a spike cage step by step. Okay, so this is obviously where, when they were making these cages, that this is where they'd bring people and show them, or this is where they'd sit people in, and obviously they'd sell the cages in here, and they would see the step by step of how to use the cage. Makes sense. The Dwergar would show off the collapsible cages to prospective purchasers in this room. The chain devil in the adjacent prison comes here to investigate any sounds of intruders. All that is cool. So there's a chain devil in this area. For anyone who doesn't know what a chain devil is, let's show you, Well, that's a tiny picture. Where's a decent sized picture? This one. Here we go. This is a chain devil. A little bit blurry because the picture is pretty small, but essentially it's a devil that has lots of chains that he can control and throw them around. Oh, there's another good depiction of a chain devil. But they are very nasty creatures. So if we go into, I don't want to go to Roll20. Yeah. How dare I consider going to Roll20 to look at stuff? Go to D&D Beyond. So here we go. That gives you more of an idea of the chain devil there. So Chain Devil has an armor class of 16, has a multi-attack, has Devil Sight, which means it can see in darkness and any magical darkness as well. It has a multi-attack, so it does 2 attacks with its chains, which is a +8 to hit, has a reach of 10 feet, and does 11 slashing damage, and also the target is grappled if they fail on a DC 14 strength save. They can also animate the chains, up to 4 of the chains, up to 4 chains that the devil can see within a room, so it doesn't have to be attached to them, it can animate them, which is very cool. And each chain has an AC of 20 and 20 hit points. It's a CR, what is it, CR 8? It's a reasonably formidable creature, 85 hit points on average. And that apparently is in this room. So this room is empty. So again, I will dust it up because this will be an empty room and it hasn't had a lot of shit going on in it. So we're going to dust up the floor. I'm going to, again, at a later date, we're going to add a whole bunch of cobwebs to this area because it's obviously no one's been here in quite some time. The prison is the next, which is G6. So 2 spiked cages are jammed with old bones and bits of decaying flesh. A woman with red skin wrapped in loose chains sits on the floor. So that's the chain devil. So we're going to grab our spiked cage, which is here. And these ones we're going to make a little bit larger because we can. I'm going to put these on layer 2. Spiky cages. I'm not going to put all the bones and stuff in them. I probably could put some in there if you wanted to, but again, you don't really need to. The representation is there. You can see the cages. And obviously, during a game, there'd be a token here of a devil, so that you could see the representation of the chain devil. So Dwegar Diabolist bound a chain devil to this room long ago. She dimly remembers her name is Vaikatar. When the Mind Flayers routed the Dwegar, they blasted Vaikatar's mind and left her for dead. The chain devil survived, however, as did the magic that binds her here. She can leave this area for only 1 minute at a time before binding magic compels her to return. Vaikatar used to demonstrate the efficiency of the cages for customers, usually on captured thieves or Dwegar who worked too slowly. She might talk briefly with the characters, but only as a pretense to determine their numbers and weaknesses. She can't comprehend the passage of time except with extraordinary concentration. An ageless and sadistic jailer, Vaikatar likes to catch intruders and shove them into the spiked cages. She has captured many curious travelers over the years and tries to capture the characters too. So, a treasure. Both cages are like the ones in Area G3, so they are collapsible, except they are sized for large creatures. Once emptied of bones and gore, each can be folded flat within 2 minutes of work and weighs 500 pounds. Neither cage has a lock because Vekatar would wrap her animated chains around the cage doors to keep them closed. Each cage is worth 400 gold pieces. Still weighs a lot. 500 pounds. That's huge. So obviously, there's not going to be a lot of dust in here because this devil's been wandering around in it, but I will put a patch of dust there because I can. But what we can do is we're going to add some old blood. Where's my colorable blood splats? Here we go. So what we're going to do, we're going to make some dark, almost brown blood splats, and then we're going to remove the alpha. These ones here, because it basically makes it a stain. This is an old song. I like this song. I'm not going to add any footprints. Obviously, there's a bit of the old blood where she's captured individuals and squished them in a cage with the spiky bits, which is kind of cool. So that's basically the Duergar area complete, ladies and germs. So that's that there. We've got a little bit more to go yet. We're about almost 3 hours in. We've got a little bit more to do. Next area is G7, which is a flooded staircase. So that's this first staircase here. You can see where my blood is. So the wide passage is inlaid with roughly cut stairs that descend into murky floodwaters, which we've got. So what we're going to do here, while we're at this area, we're going to add some water effects here around the edge of our water. So we're going to have to come up a layer so we can get on the very edge. Because obviously our water is going to lap against the edges of things, so we need to add that in around, pretty much around the entirety of this. I probably don't have to do it so much down here. I probably should widen that, to be fair. 85. Because obviously I don't think the players are going to try and wade all the way down here unless what I could potentially do as a DM is add an encounter down here to push the players into the water, or have someone dragged into the water and the players have to follow to try and rescue them. So that's something you can do as a DM to, I don't know why I was fading that, but I say as a DM you can add like little encounters like that which aren't actually in the module to do something different. Like, so you might want to have a water creature, just if they get too close to the edge of the water, reach up and grab a player, and if they like fail the save, they get dragged underwater or dragged down, like dragged away kicking and screaming and splashing, and the other players kind of have to go follow them and try and rescue them. That's if your players choose to. Like, they may not. They might turn around and say, fuck that guy, let him drown. which does happen. We almost did it in our Eldratha campaign where one of our players was dragged off by a spider and the spider kind of was stealthy and we couldn't really see it, and it was like, he's gone, he's dead, let's just leave him. But we managed to find him, so it wasn't too bad. He was lucky not to be eaten by a giant spider. Some cool old songs on this playlist. Does anyone have any Durandur questions that they would like to ask, perhaps? Whether it's a player question or a DM question. Don't hesitate to ask, because I'm more than happy to... Oh, shit, wrong way. I'm more than happy to attempt to answer any questions that you might have. Follow this one around. Cool thing about straight walls. Makes these things kind of easy to do. And also, these kind of things also obviously let you know that this water is not like all the way to the ceiling either, having this kind of effect, because this water is supposedly only about 2 feet deep, so it doesn't actually, you don't actually have to swim through it. It just makes it difficult terrain, so you're slow moving. Wrong way. Start at the bottom. We'll start down here. Oh, I didn't. I knew I didn't do something. No questions? Sad. Sad people. So everyone in chat knows everything about D&D. That's awesome. I like people who know lots about D&D. Might as well carry on do all this water actually while we're here. So we're all experts on D&D in the chat. That's amazing. Need to go this way now. Since we're all experts on D&D, what's everyone's favorite edition of D&D? If you have one, of course. This is an old song. Holy crap. Winds of Change from Scorpion. $3.5. So what was it about 3.5 that you prefer on later editions, Mr. Stib? Is it just the general rules or dice rolls, like the way they did dice rolls, or obviously character class makeup, things like that? I think Trashy was favorite was 3.5 too, or it might have been 4.5. I forget. Save before I forget. Window of Change. Save. At the bottom. 5 is good, but too easy. 3.5 is a little harder, and you could level it higher. Yeah, I must admit, I do miss the ability to go past level 20. However, you can sort of still do that in 5e, but there's just nothing like it definitely becomes way more homebrew. Obviously because of that, but yeah, I like 5th. I do like kind of, I mean, what are we calling the new edition? I mean, the 2024 rule book, it's not really, it's still 5th edition. It's just it's a variant. I mean, they're calling original 5th edition Legacy, and the 2024 rules are still 5th edition. So I don't know, we just be classed as 5.5, I guess. There are some additions to rules in the 2024 book that I do enjoy. I think they've done a good job at rewriting some of these rules. So I agree. Fifth is definitely good. Yeah, 5e24. I mean, that's probably the better way of describing it, I guess. So yeah, I mean, like I said, 5e 2024 is definitely a step in the right direction. I do like some of their additions to the 5e rules, and some of them again are not great either, but for the most part, it's actually not too bad. As far as my favorite edition, I would say AD&D was definitely my favorite edition, which is essentially 2nd edition for realistically, I guess. Yeah, they've done well with it, dude. Like, they've definitely made some improvements and gone back to some more sort of 3.5-esque kind of rules, which is kind of cool. I think because I mean back when we were playing AD&D, we simplified it ourselves, so we removed a lot of the math on that level, which is probably why I enjoyed it, because we kind of made it our own. Twisted Creations, what's up? welcome in. Welcome to Evil's Lair. Yeah, so AD&D, I liked on that level the fact that we spent a lot of time homebrewing everything we did anyway. But I just found AD&D is where I practically started with D&D, which is probably why it's my favorite edition. You got tired of being alone on YouTube? I didn't see you. I'm so sorry. I do apologize. My chat for YouTube is on the other side of my OBS, and I'm not used to looking over there yet, so I do apologize. So this is just to reiterate what Twisted was saying over on YouTube. Prior from an expert on D&D, however, I'm toying with making a Resident Evil module. Sadly, I don't think D&D will fit it. I may have to do a different system. And D&D 3.5 was your favorite system. The general rules, it seems that with later editions you had to roll to see if you could blow your nose. Yeah, I mean, homebrew is definitely the way to deal with that sort of stuff. And the need to combine a bit of 5e with 3.5 and the best of both worlds, which is kind of the with the TTRPG stuff, AD&D could be a lot more fun. I definitely think now, if you were to go back to AD&D and make some homebrew changes and some different things with more modern stuff, you'd probably find it is a lot more fun. As far as a Resident Evil style, isn't there a Resident Evil TTRPG out there? I'm sure I've heard of that, but there are systems out there, games like TTRPG systems that are very easily used for that type of thing. I can't remember what it was called. We reviewed it a while ago, and Sticks with here, he'd know which one I was talking about. But it's a dice system that can definitely be used in any world, like whether it's fantasy, high fantasy, or science fiction. And I honestly can't remember what it was called. But Call of Cthulhu would fit the Resident Evil style. No, I don't think it was D20. It had a very specific name, and I honestly can't remember what it was. I'm not sure if it was a D20 system or whether it might have been a D10 or D12 system. But it definitely rendered itself to the ability to use it in multiple worlds. And it was a really relatively easy system to follow too. Yeah, Rifts would work. Yeah, Rifts would definitely work for that. You could do it in 5e. It would just there'd be a lot of homebrew. That'd be the only thing with that. It would be you'd have to limit your classes to more non-magical classes, I would imagine. If you're really looking at the Resident Evil world. Yeah, I mean, yes and no, because it wouldn't be too difficult to create the weapons and stats for those weapons. The difference being that you'd have to create subclasses specific for each class to utilize a certain thing, which means creating, if using spellcasters, it would mean creating spells, creating weapons. There'd be a lot of homebrew work. That would be the difference, and I think it would be more difficult in 5e because of the amount of homebrew that it would be necessary to pull it off, whereas using a system like Call of Cthulhu or something similar, it would be much easier because those systems already have a lot of the weapons that would be required in those systems already and have a much easier dice system for skill-based work. Like the D100 system would work. I mean, Cthulhu would definitely work for a Resident Evil story because, I mean, that's kind of what it is already. It's a very similar type of story, but it's just set in a more modern world rather than set in the sort of 1900s. It's an easy system to follow because it's a percentage. So using Cthulhu as the example, when you roll a skill, you're rolling a D100 and your object is to roll lower than your skill level. So if you had like an 80 in a particular skill, you just need to roll under 80% on that skill in order to be successful. So it's a relatively easy system to understand once you get into it. It looks weird when you first look at it. But then you could go simpler again and go into the World of Darkness system and look at a D12 system or a D10 system and work on a success and failure. Ali Dad joke, why was it called the Dark Ages? Because of all the knights. Tish. So we're going to have an ad break in a couple of minutes, guys. So if you want to continue to chat without the ads, jump over on YouTube, and I will promise I'll try and remember to look at the YouTube chat. So with the World of Darkness system, running a D12 system or a D10 system, in any kind of success and failure system, even a D6 system would work. It's success and failure, it's just so much easier. So I don't mind the 7th edition World of Darkness. I don't mind the new stuff. We did a Vampire the Masquerade Chronicle in the new system, and it wasn't bad. Like it was easy. It was easy to follow. The older editions definitely the older editions are more fun in general, I think. But if you look at the newer editions are designed to appeal to new players, which I think is why they've made them as easy as they are, like 5th edition included. Because when you think about it, D&D 5th edition is the easiest edition to understand for brand new players, which is why it's become so popular. Because it is easy to follow, and it is easy to create a character, especially when you've got things like D&D Beyond, and now obviously with Demiplane, with World of Darkness as well, and with their games that they've got over in Demiplane, it's just becoming easier and easier to get into these games. Yeah, exactly. Like I think that's the key across the board, is to try and draw new players into these game systems, which is never a bad thing. And I just happen to really enjoy D&D, which is why I tend to do a lot of it, but I enjoy other systems as well. I just don't play them as often. Like Alien RPG, love Alien system. I loved Vampire the Masquerade. Obviously, the World of Darkness is right up my alley. I'm a real horror nut, so that really fits for me. D&D High Fantasy, another good system. There's not many systems I probably wouldn't look at and go, yeah, that would work for me, or that wouldn't work for me. Just depends. Well, this is why the older systems still exist, and why people aren't forced into playing newer editions. If you prefer an older system, play an older edition, and you can still do that. Like I have recently, well, not so much very recently, but in the recent years, have still played in a 3.5 D&D system because I enjoy 3.5. I enjoy 4th. 4th edition wasn't terrible. Pathfinder is not one I really know too much about, but I'd probably play in a Pathfinder game if it was available. There's just so many options out there. I've played Call of Cthulhu, the older edition of Call of Cthulhu, and the new, and I enjoy both. I prefer reading novels. Shadowrun. Nice. We have an advert, people. If you don't want to have an advert, if you're not subbed, jump over on YouTube, and otherwise you won't be able to hear what I'm saying. Is it bad bad thing that I do love TTRPG? However, I prefer reading novels like Shadowrun, VTM, Dragonlance. Hell no. Where do you think all these games come from? Like, honestly, D&D and I mean, Shadowrun has a TTRPG. VTM has a TTRPG. Dragonlance has a TTRPG. all of those game systems came from the novels. So you can't really, it's not bad at all. I mean, that in itself is, those systems all came from those novels. I mean, even D&D to a degree came from fantasy novels, Pick a Path and all that sort of stuff. So that's all the water. It is all the water that has been created. So the ad break's going to be over in about 1:30, guys. You remember those choose your own? Yeah, I mean, the Pick a Path adventures were amazing. Like, I remember reading those as a teenager and I thoroughly enjoyed them because you could reread the book 2 or 3, 4 times over, and because most of them had like 3 or 4 endings, like 3 or 4 different specific paths. So you could reread them and chat and make different choices and end up in different parts of the book, and you'd get at least 2 or 3 decent reads out of it, and it was a lot of fun. So let's bring these down to layer 1. Let's tuck some stones in here. For good measure, just because we can. Because they would certainly be there. Makes it look more like an actual frickin' cave. It had some more stones and things. Probably not quite that many stones. A little bit carried away with the stones, man. Just in this area alone, anyway. We could probably put some stuff under here. Just because. Just to give that depth more than anything else, just to show that we have got deep water there, or deepish water. Because then obviously when the players, if the players get to this sort of area, they're going to go, oh crap, okay, that is actually like water that is deepish, because you can see the bottom, you can see these stones and shit on the bottom, so it's kind of what it is. You agree the rereadability of them was astounding, felt like heading into a new story every time. The devil is in the details, 100%. And I think that's what makes a really good D&D story too. Like a good campaign is having that level of detail sometimes in a story. Like, you must have context. You've got to have a history within a story. You've got to have something the players can sort of wrap their teeth into and get their head around, while also creating a character and playing a character and fleshing out a character story as well. So there's definitely different elements of D&D and other sort of game systems, which makes a big difference. If you can paint a picture with words, the game, yeah, if you can't, again, you don't have to be super descriptive either, though. As long as you can get your point across and it makes sense, you don't have to be really like super descriptive. It helps, definitely. Like, I would hate to think that, I would hate to discourage a DM that may think themselves not to be overly descriptive, because you can be descriptive without being over the top descriptive. Sometimes I think you got some DMs out there that their descriptions are so elaborate and so sort of intense that it can be intimidating even for the player sometimes. And then if you then try and compare yourself to those types of DMs, you're really gonna come unstuck, because obviously, when again using Matt Mercer, like I quite often use Matt Mercer as an example, we can't all be voice actors and have these super big words and have all this training in our games. So you do what's comfortable for you as a DM, and you try and describe things the best you can for your players. If you have trouble describing stuff, use visual aids, use ambient audio to help drive the point, which is what we do. Digital games, I use things like splash screens and ambient audio to help set the picture, and then obviously I'm probably a little bit more descriptive. I'm pretty descriptive. I like to think I can describe things reasonably well. I don't use heaps of big words because I don't know many big words. I'm not like formally educated on that level. I dropped out of high school, so like I tell things. I describe things how I would describe it. You know what I mean? So it becomes, to me, more natural. I hate AI. I will never ever use it. I'm not begrudging anyone that does. Honestly, don't take it personally. Like, I personally will not use AI. It just my brother does. Like, my brother uses a bit of AI for imagery, like for our home game, because he's an artist and he likes to draw, but he also runs a business, so it's kind of hard to. He doesn't have the time now to draw up a picture of an NPC like he used to. So now he uses AI to do that for him, and that's fine. I don't have an issue with that. I prefer not to. I'd rather either create it myself. Like, what I tend to do is use Hero Forge for main NPCs and things like that, and for player characters. I don't like using AI specifically. But yeah, chat GPT, I mean, it has its place, definitely. But I prefer not to use it, personally. Yeah, but I mean, some people do. Like, I do as well. Funnily enough, I do not generally write a lot of my descriptors down. I will make basic notes and bullet points, but I've become very good at improvisation and doing things in the moment. So I tend to not write a lot of stuff down anyway, because I find it more natural if it's just off the top of my head. Like, I can picture it in my head, but I lack the wording to properly do it justice. Well, so that's the thing. I'd probably lack that too, but then again, I don't really care about the fancy words. Like, I'll describe something as I see it. However, horror, a horror scene I can describe really well because I love horror. Gore, I can do gore. That's easy. But when it comes, like, describing a forest, I can describe a forest and how thick it is, and the type of trees and the undergrowth and all that sort of stuff. But I don't need to go into any great elaborate wording to get that point across. Step, I think I think of what they look like, and then I get AI to make the picture. Yeah, and Baz does the same thing. Like, he uses AI for that. I tend to utilize Hero Forge for my NPCs and create them myself, and then use those descriptions, or I just write description down and come up with it myself anyway. Like, if I think we need to have a picture of this NPC, then I will probably use Hero Forge personally. But then I have the time to do it as well. And I think it comes down to there's several factors for using AI. Time is a big factor. If you don't have a lot of time to, like, do Hero Forge or make the art yourself, then AI becomes a handy tool. And I said I don't begrudge anyone that type of thing, because, hey, why not? If it's available there, use it. I personally try not to use it because I don't personally like it. But that's just me. Except horror, then again, all you watch is horror movies. So I love horror in my games too. So I do tend to swing more towards, like, devils and demons and fiends and undead and that in my games, because that's what I enjoy as a player and a GM. I enjoy the horror, like the horror aspect of things. That's why I enjoy Call of Cthulhu, because it's that dystopian horror. It's that kind of thing has always been up my alley. So if I ever get a chance to play Call of Cthulhu, I'm always going to play it because I love that kind of thing. Vampire the Masquerade, same reason. It's in my wheelhouse. Could describe a trap that could be used in Saw, but asked me to describe a broken down inn on the inside, and you would struggle. See, yeah, I mean, again, it depends on how deep you want to go into that description, right? Yeah, I mean, H.P. Lovecraft, I mean, you can't go wrong, really. So describing a broken down inn on the inside, for example, you walk, like literally you walk into the inn, it's the shadows fall across the floor from broken windows. You steer across the far side, the empty fireplace is cold and dark. It just simple descriptors. It's all you really need. The tables are broken and strewn across the room. You get a reasonably good idea of what's in this room when you walk into there. It's dark, it's dingy, it's cold, there's cobwebs hanging from age-old chandelier, and that's where a lot of DMs fail. As I'm guilty of it too. We overthink things. We think we have to be like super elaborate when we really don't. Another example, describing a broken down cart on the side of the road. You could simply say you happen across a cart on the road. You have one wheel missing. It's broken in several places, lying on the side of the road. You've got two figures attempting to potentially repair this wagon. One seems to be standing with his back towards the wagon with his arms down, holding it up, while the other's trying to work this wheel back on and hammer it into place. Or you could go the other way and say you've got a wagon heavily tilted to one side, wheel busted and strewn in bits across the road. The horse that drew this wagon is lying on its side with its rib cage exposed, with its entrails hanging out. Whether it's been attacked or just whatever, you're not entirely sure until you get a bit closer. Like, there's just little things you can add to change the scene. Because one scene is just a broken down wagon, the next scene is somewhat of an attack with the horse with its guts ripped out. So you know that's a little bit more sinister than just a broken down wagon. And then once the players get there, you can then have them roll perception checks or medicine checks or survival checks, and you can add detail based on those checks. And all that stuff can be improv. It can be difficult to improv. Gokasaurus, what's up? Welcome. There's several things you can, like, there's obviously several things we can do as DMs to ensure the players are having a good time, and you don't have to be super descriptive in order for the players to understand what you're talking about. If you're struggling to describe the interior of a broken down inn to your players, and you use AI to find it, use an AI picture. If you struggle, like I've done it with my splash screens. I will show you an example of what we're talking about. I will just open my Foundry. Always D&D cookie. D&D is great. Map making and D&D chat. So at the moment we're creating this map, which is called Gibbet Crossing. We've got a couple of areas here, an old forge. We've just got a bit of a flooded area here. Just talking a bit of DM stuff as well. So I'm going to show you what I mean by splash screens, helping you describe things, because I use in my new game, in my Land of the Lost game, I am using a lot of splash screens as opposed to the comprehensive maps until they get into a battle. So the battle map, which generally the maps I create here on stream, are used for combat, specifically for battle. So I'm not having my players roam around these hallways with their tokens, because that can get time consuming. And I've done that with my previous playthrough of Curse of Strahd. So what I have decided to do with this particular one, map scenes across, map scenes aside, I have things like, for example, Berescar Village. So here we have a village. It's raining. There's lightning. We got light in the windows. And normally there's audio with this as well. You won't be able to hear it because I got it turned off. But there's normally audio with these as well. So there might be the sound of rain and the sound of thunder in the background. Things like that. There's also, for example, we recently were in Madame Ava's tent and we had this particular scene. Shows the interior of the tent. Lighting and things like that just set the scene. I still described the inside of the tent, but this helped the players understand what I was getting at without me having to go into some serious sort of major descriptions. The interior of an inn, as an example. I mean, and this is just a picture I found on the internet, just and literally I'd searched fantasy inn interior and found one that kind of suited what I was looking for. These other ones here are actual. These are from Curse of Strahd. So this one here is the Abbey of St. Markovia. This is an actual video background of this particular thing. Same with Selenka, the gates at Selenka and things like that. So these are videos that I'd found, again, online. You can, I think some of them I got through a Patreon as well. Things like this one here as well. Where is my black carriage? Oh, that one didn't show. I haven't done that one yet, obviously. But C4 camps. Things like that. So Waterfall was another one. So these ones are animated. So you come across a waterfall. Here's your waterfall. You know what I mean? Rather than having to go through those elaborate descriptions. This was another one I used. So this, when they first started this campaign, they were in a manor home, which was called Durst Manor, or Death House, if you want to look at, after looking at the module. So what I did with this was literally just grabbed, I found a manor home interior, so that they could say, this is you're inside this house. This is the type of house you're inside. And it just gave them something to look at while we were walking around the house. In the meantime, what I was doing on the other side of this, stuff that they couldn't see, was this. So these are maps. These are the maps I've created for this module. And what I was doing while the players were looking at the other scene, I was moving their tokens around in here on these scenes. So I was literally moving a token around to say, okay, they're in this room, they're in that room. And then if there was an encounter, we would then switch to the scene where they were in and would have an encounter in that room. Exactly. So I'm still describing what they're seeing, but the visual aid and obviously audio too, because a lot of this stuff has audio to it. So as an example, if I turn this back on, we'll pause this one. If I we'll go to my Land of the Lost ones. So for example, if they go to the Ruins of Berez, so we'll start this audio. We're going to pause this one over here. And we're going to turn this up. Hopefully you should be able to hear it. So if we were in the swamps of Berez as an example, so I've got battle maps here as well. So if we go to the Ruins of Berez and we go to the Berez swamp, when they come into this area, which is a swamp, this is the audio they're going to hear as well. I would also describe it as a very swampy, like it's a swamp. There's a large river running through it, but all this ground is wet and sodden underfoot. It smells. You can hear the flies and hear the bubbling of the swampland as you walk through it. The audio helps as well. And that's sometimes that's all you need. Like we've got goats here as well. I mean, as a general rule, I don't know if I have the animals in this one. I do. I've got animals. I don't think I have goats specifically, but I think we have a sheep here. You're going to play the sheep. Oh, there we go. So because we've got goats in the scene, I could add the sounds of a sheep in the background as well. And then, of course, being a dark horror, we add some suspenseful music in the background as well while they're playing. So that's generally how I do it personally, and it works. And we do it at our home games as well. We use ambient sounds and music to help set the scene as well. You don't have to, but it's definitely a one way of helping set the mood. Yes, it would be easy to fall asleep to. But obviously, when you're sitting there playing a game and you're having these dark scenes, like if you're looking at Curse of Strahd as an example of a module, the whole land is dark. It's dingy. It's raining a lot of the time. So to have that sort of sorrowful, sort of mournful music in the background while you're describing a very dark scene, it all fits. And sounds definitely help with immersion. Again, you don't have to use audio. If you don't have the capabilities, don't worry about it, but it definitely helps, especially when you're trying to describe a particular scene. Like, for example, when we're walking through Curse of Strahd and it starts to rain, I have rain audio, I have thunder audio. So I can have rolling thunder in the distance to let them know that there's a storm incoming and things like that. So you're getting some of those things you can do when you finally run your own campaign. This is all stuff that I learned as I DM'd. Like, I mean, I was a player for a long time. My brother was my forever DM, and he's a very good DM. He is very good at his descriptions. He always has been, and a lot of the people in the chat here can attest to his storytelling ability, because he did our Vampire the Masquerade as a storyteller for us. He has DM'd a couple of one-shots for us. He played in my very first homebrew campaign, and he is also a very good player. And I learnt from him, basically. So I'm definitely nowhere near as good as he is. I have my own style. Everyone has their own style of DMing and playing, but I must be doing something right, because I continually get players who want to play in my stories. So obviously I'm doing something correctly. And that's all that matters. As long as your players are enjoying themselves, it doesn't matter what you personally think of your own storytelling or your own descriptions. If your players are having fun, you're doing something right, ultimately. That's how I look at it anyway. So, to carry on, before I got horribly sidetracked, not really, we're doing pretty much okay. So G8 is this central chamber here, which I believe is kind of empty, called the intersection. So stalactites hang from the ceiling of this 30-foot high vaulted cavern. The floor is slick with moisture and is carved and it's carved level and even. Passages extend in several directions, and a stone double door bearing the carving of a spiked cage is set onto the wall, which is this one up here, I believe. So this is all obviously just, we can add some stones and stuff in here. around the place. I could add piles of stones in the walls. Again, this is all stuff I can do off stream, because to do it now and spend, like, I could spend an hour just adding stones to this, which is something we don't really want to do, because that'd be boring as shit. But it says it's slick with moisture, so I potentially could add, using my paint tool, I could add patches of water, potentially. Again, I don't think it's absolutely necessary, because the description says it, right? That's the description I'd use for my players, but I'd probably go in my own words more than reading what I do here. I read it because I want to get a description of the map. So when it came to time to possibly play this module, I would turn around and say, you descend some rough-hewn stairs into a large flat area. There are tooling marks in the ground to suggest that it's been built this way. It's also a little moist underfoot, to give the impression that it's got moisture there. The Nickel Nips, thank you so much for the follow, appreciate it. I think that's what it's supposed to be, the Nickel Nips. I hope I got that right. If I haven't, I apologize for butchering your name. This is what we do as streamers, we butcher people's names. So that's your description: the stalactites and the moist. Yeah, I love that word. Moist floor, or the sodden floor, to give people. How you doing, dude? Thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome on in. We are doing some maps and D&D stuff, just chatting basically. So in this area, apparently Zagrik Alpha recently moved into this area and is coiled around one of the eastern stalactites, where it can easily slither down a nearby wall and snag a prey. A character who succeeds on a DC 15 Wisdom, aka Perception check, notices the Grick, which attacks when noticed. The first time it is injured, the Grick emits a loud squeal that draws the Gricks laring in the mine in area G9 to its aid. Von Braxel's Grimlocks now avoid the Grick whenever they come to through this way on errands. Although the days when this intersection was bustling market are gone, it resonates with faint psychic echoes of traders and travellers conducting business. Characters who enter this here momentary auditory hallucinations of this ancient business. So awesome. If I was to run this module and my players came into this area, the first thing I would do is find a marketplace audio, which I think I already have, and I would play it softly the moment they walked into this area. So then you would describe it to them. As you walk into this area where stalactites hang from the 30-foot vaulted ceiling, you hear a faint murmuring of voices, not unlike a bustling marketplace. Yet this place is empty and dark and has not seen life for many a year, kind of thing. But something weird like that. The audio, obviously, with the marketplace in the background, you'd probably have a drip. I'd probably have a cave audio as well, with dripping, with the dripping water and the wind sort of whistling through the cabins, because that's what you hear in a cave normally. All that sort of stuff added together sets your scene and gives your player a little bit more immersion into that scene, which is kind of cool. So I hope you're Nickel Nips. I hope you're doing very well. It is a pleasure to have a new person drop into the stream, someone we haven't seen before, and I do appreciate that follow. So that is that area. So again, this series doesn't have a whole lot in it. I will probably add some dust and some stones and things in here, again off stream, because that'll be boring as hell to watch me do that kind of stuff. But that's what I would end up adding in this area. G9. So this area here is, I believe, the depleted mine. So the depleted mine. Rough walls indicate that mining was once performed here. Clots of repulsive mucus jam the crevices. A narrow door is wedged into the back of the mine. So repulsive mucus jam the crevices. So I could probably add some goop into these things. I might have to have a look at that with a little bit more description here in a second. I hate map making. When I think of something, I can visualize it perfectly in my head and describe it as well as the best, especially given time to actually write it down. I write it out. All that being said, you asked me to make a map for that scene I thought of, and then suddenly my brain turns into a mushy. It turns as mushy as a town drunk after a 7 o'clock bottle of wine. I mean, so some people are creative, some people aren't, right? Some people can think as things and then they can't express it onto paper or digitally. I think I've been blessed in the fact that I'm able to do this specifically. I do cheat a little bit. These maps are pre-made, so these are ones that I'm recreating from a D&D module. I do use a trace image, like the image. This map has come from D&D Beyond, so there is a map there, and I have gotten a little lazy, and I use it. Dungeondraft now enables me to add a trace image, so I can upload the original map and use it as an image behind it, so I can obviously get the basics, and then we add the stuff later on. So you can express your thoughts on the paper as long as it's by way of words. Makes sense. Not everyone's artistic. Like, I couldn't draw to save myself. Like, if you asked me to draw a map like this, I'd fuck it up royally. A world map, probably a little different. I could possibly draw a world map, but battle maps, probably not so much these days. I used to do a little bit of that when I was younger. This sort of artwork is definitely a lot easier to do. Because of the fact that, I mean, everything's there. Like, the assets are there. I'm just putting them on the canvas, basically. As long as you can count a grid, then you're usually pretty good with this sort of stuff. So this area is basically an abandoned mine. I don't know that I have any mucus per se that I can add into this, but I'm sure I can find something that would work. I know we have a bunch of mind flare stuff now with these assets. So it's the serif stuff, Seramorph. So we could add, where is it? That's a Seramorph gore, pods, tentacles, Seramorph walls. I don't think, it may not work. Seramorph wise, this stuff may not work too well because of what it is. Statues, rubble, light sources, furniture, floor plates. Seramorph eyes, that's kind of cool. Seramorph doors, decor, that's what I was looking for. Because they're literally saying it's just mucus everywhere. Clots of repulsive mucus jam the crevices, which I'm assuming is up in these areas here because of the gricks that hang out here. So I don't really have any mucus. I wonder if moss would work. Because I could put, actually I got a moss path. Let's try something here. We're going to go to our pathing tool. And we're going to clear this off. And have a look at what we've got in here that we could potentially use. Because I know with moss, I can drag and obviously put it above walls and mess around with that. And potentially make it look like something goopy and disgusting. So we've got this stuff here, right? So we've got this. So for example, we come into this crevasse and come up above walls. And if I fade this stuff in and out, That'd work, wouldn't it? I mean, it obviously close up it looks like moss, but given the description that there's clots of yucky stuff, I mean, we could use the brown or the green and just layer them into these corners a little bit, and probably around here just to give it a little bit of color, a little bit of something different. I don't think we have anything that would be more suited, unless we've got Ceramorph stuff perhaps, but pretty sure that might be the one that'll work the best. We do have a lot of different grass paths and ivies and shit now too, but I think that'll work. Oh, crap burgers, that was really massive. Bike lines. I mean, actually, I wonder if that's kind of fire. Let's see if that will work. Nah, it's kind of too much like fire, unfortunately. Oh, that's wide. I think that'll work though, guys. I think we'll go with that. We'll go with the moss. And we'll go with the green. You don't have to layer it through all of this stuff. We can just chuck it in on some of these rocks. Just to give it a little bit of color in there. And it almost fits with the description a little bit. That we've got these things in the ceiling that are leaving little goopy bits around the place. We layer these into the crevices of these ends here. I'm not going to do it on all of them. Just we'll do those ones, and then we might look at these deeper ones here. So I could potentially use blood splats too. I could color some blood splat. Potentially, maybe. I really do think this gets my point across. Is he going to play MTG while listening to stream background? That's awesome. You can do that. I got that kind of face, really. I wouldn't want to watch me either. Nah, I'm kidding, dude. You do what you do, you boo. I'm probably not far off finishing, actually. We've been running almost 4 hours. So we're getting pretty close to the end. So that's G9. 6 Grix lair here amid the nests they've made from their own mucus. The characters might have already encountered them if the Grick Alpha and adjacent intersection has squealed for aid. The Dwergar initially tried to mine metal for their cage workshops here, but soon learned that the Sverf Niblin provided better product, which is dark gnomes for those that don't know what a Sverf Niblin is. The door at the rear of the mine was installed later as an escape route that let many Dwergar flee the mine players during the attack. So that's this door down here. So again, I'm probably going to add, I might look at that too, because if I go blood, so if you look at that, we've got green blood pools. And I could create See, that kind of works too. However, if I create a darker green, and again take some of that alpha out, which is this stuff here, maybe too much alpha, put some of the alpha back in. And we've got this stuff down here. Put some green goop in the corners. This is obviously where these particular creatures have made their nests. So then what I could potentially do is bring the alpha back up on these. And where is the blood splatter one? And through the cabin here, we could have splooches of green shit to suggest that these things have been around. This area, dripping stuff all over the floor. And again, I'll add some cobwebs and dust and stuff on there as well, because that just, and stones suit the aesthetic. So that is area G9. G10. Where is G10? So G10 is actually up in here. So I think we'll do G10, and I don't think there's much in G10, but we'll go to G10, and I think we'll call it there for the evening. So G10, so the wide tunnel ends suddenly around the bend, which is at the top of the map here. As large chunks of stone suggest a long ago collapse. Obviously, we've got a big collapse there. Two ropers that lurk amidst the stones here. They enjoy ambushing travelers. But there haven't been many travelers recently. The ropers don't know that the Gricks have been poaching their potential prey. They're hungry and desperate for victims. The ropers know about the strange effect in an adjacent receiving room. Once one roper is defeated, the other one retreats just inside the doorway of the receiving room to gain protection from protection the room provides. The long ago collapse caused desperate times for the Dark Gnomes. The tunnel once led to several other Dark Gnome communities from which these Dark Gnomes acquired mithril. But the collapse proved too extensive for even the skilled tunnelers to safely excavate. The isolated Dark Gnomes began to rely on traders from Talandirith to get mithril, even though this cut deeply into their profits. So treasure in this area. Treasure. Each roper has consumed 4 amethysts worth about 30 gold pieces each. And the Zorn in area G14 is desperate to recover these amethysts. Cool. So again, not much else in this area apart from stones and things, and we'll add those in at a later date. I'll add some stones in against the walls because of the collapse and stuff. And I believe this top area, G11, is, what's that? That's the Talandirith passage. So that's just like I think that's an empty passage as well. So again, we'll fill some stones and cobwebs, dust and things. And then next Monday, we'll be getting into the Dark Gnome area, which is G12, which is the receiving room. And then the private rooms of the Dark Gnomes, and then the Drow. And I've already sort of given this area a very Drow feel by putting in Drow flooring, which is spiderweb flooring. And we've got our flooded area to deal with yet. And we've got all this area down here, which is all Drow area as well. So we're probably about, I don't know, about a third the way through this map. We'll save that. But in the meantime, I'll do what I normally do at the end of the stream, and just for those that have maybe not been here before, we will open one of our previous completed maps to give you an idea of other things that we've done. So this is Telanderis. This is where this current map leads to. This is like a temple, Telanderis. So this is what we've got in here so far. This one's pretty much complete. We've got obviously sleeping chambers. As you can see, we've got spider webs and bedding. This is all a dwarven area, hence the stone tables and chairs. We've got collapses in here as well. A temple area with a busted table. We've got storage areas, a kitchen, again, cobwebs, things like that, an old fireplace. Old statues, temple areas. This one's not a bad map. This one it took me a couple of sessions to do. We then also have done the Indigo Sanctum, which is this one's a relatively small map. It was relatively easy to do. That one wasn't too terrible. And then we had the Zorzula mining area. So this one was a lot of fun to make. So we have a contraption, which was a mining contraption. We've got old storage areas, broken statues, again, flooding, mining tracks. There's a pyramid down in this area. This is all lava, blue lava, not red lava, but blue. An old mining collapse with some dead dwarves in it. So that's pretty much what we're doing. I have made a whole bunch of other maps as well. Our previous campaigns, I don't think I have all of them on here, but we do have, I've done Icefire Peak, so Dragon of Icefire Peak, I've done all of those maps. So we'll grab Nomengard, which is probably the biggest one. So Nomengard, these ones I did ages ago. Same sort of principle. They're a good size. So we've got the Nomengard contraptions. We've got an area where there's a whole bunch of traps. If we come down into over here, so we've got some blade traps, goblin workshop, gnome workshops, things like that. We've got Butterskull Ranch. What else did we have here? We've got the caves beneath the the Circle of Thunder, which is the Circle of Thunder here. These are the cave entrances. So we do exterior maps as well, not just interior. That is Dragon Barrow Catacombs, the Dwarven Excavation, Falcon's Hunting Lodge, and then that's the upper levels, things like that. We do exterior maps like a dark forest. So just a simple exterior forest map with some trees where you can do a basic encounter. All of the maps that I create for you D&Ders out there are available to purchase. Email me on my business email, evildoergaming@gmail.com, if you are potentially interested in any of the maps that have been created. There are miscellaneous maps, a werewolf den. This one I've created for a module that I wrote. We've got another one called Mirror Mirror, which is another pre-written module. Just some random sewer maps. This one was for a one-shot that we did a while ago. This is basically a hellscape. Obviously got your hellish area with corpses and all sorts of stuff, and Bone Bridge and shit, which is pretty cool. Yes, the Dark Forge was indeed dark. And you guys fought something recently on one of those Dark Forest maps. I think it was the Dark Crossroads, this one, that you guys had an encounter on. Yo, what's up? We've got some people over here on the YouTube as well. Bootzilla, welcome in. And initial respond, have you tried making a city before? Yes, I have. I have created many cities for my homebrew game. I do not have those on this particular PC, but I have created. Oh, it's Ghost. Hey, dude, what's up? But yes, I have created cityscapes before for my homebrew game that I'm running every second Sunday. I created all of the cities for that. So there's, it was 12 or 13 cities. And I used Incarnate for city maps rather than Dungeondraft. Yes, fitting place for chain devils indeed. Do I make my own assets? No, I do not. All of the assets that I use are Forgotten Adventures assets through my Patreon with them. So I joined Forgotten Adventures Patreon, and I've downloaded all of their assets, and there are a lot of them, and they are good assets. Like I love Forgotten Adventures assets, and I also have all of their tokens for Foundry. So we use Foundry VTT for our games, and the top-down tokens for Foundry that obviously used for the oh, you're everywhere. Look, he's over here too. Yeah, so the top-down tokens for Foundry I also have gotten through Forgotten Adventures. So if you are using a VTT and you want some tokens, go to Forgotten Adventures. They have free versions of their tokens, which are just basic variants on it. If you want all of the variants, then join their Patreon and grab them from there. They're amazing. Like, all of their art is awesome. And no, I'm not sponsored by them. I wish I was, but I'm definitely not. But Forgotten Adventures all day long for assets and tokens. They're amazing. So that is definitely going to be it for me this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in. For those of you on Twitch and on YouTube, thank you very, very much. Appreciate you guys hanging out. We should probably see if there's anyone on to raid, because we haven't raided anyone for a little while. Who's online this evening? Oh, Vibey's on. We could go harass Vibey. What's he playing? He's playing Clone Hero. Are we going to go harass Vibey? Definitely. He's playing some Clone Hero. Like the musics. Thank you, Brutezilla, for Ghost. Brutezilla. You changed your goddamn name. But thank you, Ghost, for hanging out. It's good to see you, dude. And initial respond. Thank you for joining us on the YouTube as well. You get back to scrolling. Nice. But again, map making Mondays. Every Monday night, 8:30 New Zealand Standard Time, we kick it off. Run for about 3 or 4 hours. Continuing the Phandelver below Shattered Obelisk max until they're completed. And then I'll be moving on to another one. I'll be moving on to another series of maps. I'm going to look at some community-based maps at some point too. So if you have an idea for a map, either DM me in the Discord, let me know during a live stream, and we will potentially look at creating a community-based map. Whether it's an exterior map, interior battle map, doesn't matter. We'll come up with something, and it should be a bit of fun. Definitely looking forward to that. Failing that, I'll be back on Thursday night. Again, 8:30 New Zealand Standard Time. Playing some Black Ops 6. Open lobbies. Feel free to join me if you wish. If not, hang out and watch me shoot people, and probably get a bit angry when I get killed, but hey, that's me. Friday night this week will be Black Ops 6 as well. Next Friday will be Killing Floor 2. Again, all open lobbies. Will be just playing with friends and community. And don't forget, every other Saturday for Land of the Lost D&D campaign will be Session 9, Episode 9, which I believe is this coming Saturday. Need to double check my Discord. I'm pretty sure it's this coming Saturday. Blackwell might be able to confirm that, because my memory is fucking terrible. In 5 days. So yes, this coming Saturday. So join the Discord too if you wish to hang out with us. As I said, contact me if you're interested in the maps. If not, cool. If you want to just hang out, and that's awesome. Join the Discord. Follow me on my socials. Do the whole thing. Make sure if you're not, subscribe over on the YouTube. As I said, I'm streaming to YouTube as well as Twitch moving forward. If you want an ad-free experience, sub over on YouTube. Not worried if you do it here. If you want to support the channel financially, I'd obviously greatly appreciate it. It's not necessary. Don't need it. Not really a big issue. But if you want to watch the stuff free of ads and things, watch on the YouTubes and hang out over there. And I'll get better at reading the chat over there. I promise. But failing that, we're gonna go raid Mr. Vibe anyway. So make sure you go check him out, guys. Mr. Vibe AU is an awesome dude. We have been hanging out with Mr. Vibey for a little while. We've known him since Mixer, so raid has been created. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you next time.